but they actually obviously do help.
No, not your glass. I'm talking about the book, Illumination. Isn't that like the Minions? The Minions
Might
thing?
be.
Like Illumination.
I don't watch
part
the
of it.
Minions.
Oh, wow. I guess you don't have kids, do you? Have you not seen Despicable Me?
Oh, I've seen the first one.
Okay,
Isn't
right.
there like 50 versions of that now?
I think there's 4 Despicable Me movies, and I reckon the first 3 are good. And then there's a couple of like dedicated Minions movies, which were they're kind of cash grabs, but they're not unworthy cash grabs.
It's like Madagascar. That was one of my favourite animations, with the penguins.
Yeah.
And then they did a standalone penguins one, and I didn't enjoy it at all.
Yeah, the penguins one wasn't great, but the Madagascar 2 I did not expect to enjoy, but I actually really did.
I don't know if I've seen it.
Yeah, you're like, well, where are they going with the plot from here? Like, where are they at? And no, they did a worthy job. Can I just, before we get, and now we have to get into the topics, otherwise people are going to get mad at us. But before we do, can we just address the elephant in the room?
My new book?
The fact that this is now the most intelligent podcast on earth.
Do you reckon people will take me more seriously now?
That's a stretch. That's. I mean,
I would like to say that I've actually had these a lot longer than you have. I just never opt to wear them.
You would need a lot more than just glasses for people to take you seriously. But
I need 2 functioning brain cells.
It's a step in the right direction.
Look, I try.
Small steps.
I work with what I've got. All right.
Now I bought 2 pairs because I'm buying them for the first time and I had no idea what was going to work and what wasn't. So I got a larger, squarer set that you mocked and said that I looked like. What's his
Garth.
name? Garth from. So I showed you.
Am I wrong?
Okay, hang on. I show you a photo of me when I had long hair, and you say I look like Martin Bryant. That
was probably the best quip I ever had.
That went down well.
Yeah.
And then I put on a hat and some reading glasses, and I look like Garth.
Yeah, I'm just pulling him up.
This is not working for my confidence here.
I mean, to be fair, you do need a wig, but let's be honest, this is exactly what you look like. Maybe I look a little like this at the moment too.
Yeah.
Our glasses are the same.
Yeah, I don't think you want to be bringing that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that works in your favor.
Yeah.
Anyway, topics.
All
We
right.
have to.
Okay, so today, whenever I do these topics, I always think, what will we talk about today? And then I get on a roll and I have 100. So we're going to speed run through it. Jess Wilson, leadership spill.
Yep.
Lot to say there. Mm-hmm. Sergeant Natalie, are you familiar with this?
No.
We'll get into it. Those of you who are following the big poll.
The cop? Yeah.
cop.
Okay, sorry, yes, vaguely.
Crud in the Epstein files.
Yes, that's interesting. I've got a bit to say there.
Epstein release.
Uh-huh.
The Mexico Gen Z riots.
No, you're going to be educating me on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm surprised you missed that one.
Yeah.
All right. The CBA boss calls for a reduction in immigration. Mm-hmm. We've got South African neo-Nazi is being deported.
Yep. Do you have on immigration, do you have the Liberal Party promising,
Yes,
Susan Lee,
I have.
promising 100,000 reduction?
Coalition plans to cut migration by 100,000.
Yeah.
We now have to ask babies for consent when changing nappies.
Well, this has come up before, but it is certainly doing the rounds again, yes.
Karen has to give evidence to the Judicial Committee.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For being a zealot.
I'm sorry. I'm not excited. About this at all. Yeah.
And then a global outage from Cloudflare, which, by the way...
Cloudflare, yeah.
I actually went into a blind panic. G will be like, yes, she did. Because all of a sudden, because I was sitting here last night just working on the episode and X just logged me out. And I was like, why did I get logged out of X? Like, that's a weird thing. And then all of a sudden I got logged out of a couple of other things all at the same time. And then I saw the Cloudflare something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I being hacked?
Yeah.
And then I was Googling, like, is X down, whatever? And G's like, I'm fine. And he's like, it's your Mac. I'm like, it's not my Mac. Something's going on. And I was genuinely panicked because I was like, oh, God.
I love that is every PC bro's first port of call.
Yeah.
It's your Mac.
Yeah. That's fine. I can handle it. I understand that when you're a loser, you have to punch up. I get it.
We are the PC bro superior race.
Speaking of which,
whether you like it or not.
We'll talk about the Discord in a second, but my God, I felt like I'd walked into my mum and dad cuddling when I walked into the geek chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's
Where is this going?
In the Discord, there is a geek chat section.
Right.
And I was like, what do they talk about there all day? Because you can hear my phone is going ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That
please.
is the Discord.
Can we not? Can we just throw that thing out the window or something?
If I put it on D&D, I won't hear anything. Haha.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. Yes. Dungeons and Dragons mode on the
didn't know you were such
on
a
the
nerd.
iPhone. These glasses make me look like one. I'm going to take them off in a second.
Well, you realize we are still trying to get through the topics.
Yeah.
Like, we've made this promise. We're going to get through the topics.
Well, they're the topics. Oh, and the last one is Zelensky and corruption and his gold-plated toilet.
No, corruption in Ukraine?
Zelensky money laundering? Squandering money? Burisma? None of it sounds familiar to me.
Can I add a couple of things?
Oh, let's add to the list.
Well, we've just seen...
this is now a 7-hour podcast.
No. We just saw a chase that happened. So a tip-off was given up in New South Wales. A 13-year-old called the cops when he saw...
I have that.
Yeah, okay, you do have that.
Yes.
Good. All right, so that was interesting because that led to some arrests. They had a sawn-off shotgun. They had some petrol and so forth.
The usual suspects, I will point out.
The usual suspects inside the vehicle. Now, also... really interesting to me because it actually happened up my way. I'm just trying to find it now. There was a shootout up in Beechworth, a Beechworth man was one of the people involved.
That's Ned Kelly country.
Someone used a gun to defend themselves from a drunk someone with a gun trying to kill them. In the end, the drunk someone who, at least at this stage, allegedly, it's all before the courts, etc., started it all, is the one who ended up dead. And the victim lived.
Right, good. Good.
So I'll have to be a bit careful how we talk about that, but I'll read you some of the eyewitness accounts and a bit of that of what went down. So yes, it's an interesting episode for crime as well.
Oh, that's something unusual for us.
I know, we never talk about that.
I've gotten to the point where with this, how did I have these on and then my headphones? Because now that hurts. Hang on. What did I do? There we go. Sensory overload. There's a lot going on.
Can you walk, talk, and chew gum? Is that
no?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know that most people can't do this?
Yeah, I can though. I've always.
Can you?
Yeah, that whole thing went around when I was in school for a few years. That was the young school age. Can you do this? No one can do this. Yeah. No problem.
It's like those things that pop up on Instagram. It's like, if you can read this, you're in the top 1%, and I can always read it.
No, but that's pure clickbait.
Yeah.
Like, that's pure...
I am superior
It's just
intelligence.
eyeball harvesting. That's all that is.
Have you seen the one with the horse running forwards or backwards?
I've seen the one with the ballerina rotating left or right. I don't know if it's the same sort of thing.
It's a similar thing, and everyone's like, if it goes forwards to your left brain or whatever, vice versa. And every time I'm looking at it, I'm trying to focus on the other way. I swear it's a stitch up.
Yeah, it could be. I know the ballerina you can see in either direction. I've managed to make that switch while I've been looking at it. However, is that all the topics? Are we done with topics?
That's a lot of topics.
Okay, everybody, can you please be happy this episode? We gave you the topics up front, okay?
No, we can't timestamp them because I have no idea when we'll get to them or if we'll get to them.
That would involve post-production, and we don't have the resources yet. We need more oddies. If we're going to have actual dedicated post-production to the Oddcast specifically, obviously I've got a team that works on my stuff, but we need more viewers on the Oddcast to be able to pay post-production, to be able to do things like timestamping.
I'm introducing a new tax to the Oddcast.
Oh, a tax.
And the new tax.
I'm sorry, Jacinta Allen. I didn't realise you were part of the podcast.
Yes. Well, I feel like, since we...
Oh, feelings. Wow, we really have gone hard
Yeah, gone
left,
full
haven't we?
progressive, yeah. I do believe that is your duty as oddies to share the show, and that is your tax.
Yep.
So now moving to December,
Pay the tax, peasants.
Yes, I want you to pay your taxes and share this show because we've been sitting just below 4,000 subscribers for a while.
Isn't it infuriating? We got there so quickly and then it's like, boop.
Utterly, and it's like 50% of the people who watch this podcast aren't subscribed. How dare
you?
Yes.
You've stolen my childhood and my dreams.
And my dreams. How dare you? So it's important. Share the show and we will try. I have a run sheet. I've never done a run sheet. I have one.
Wow.
So we're going to stick to it. And if I interrupt you, it's because the run sheet is dictating to me.
So you have a run sheet. I don't run. And maybe that's the problem.
No one thinks you run, mate.
Yeah, no, I know. However, speaking of a show, there seems to be a bit of a show and tell in front of me. What is going on?
Oh, look,
here?
my house has been overtaken by your shit, essentially.
Well, I do it in the toilet. It's not my fault if your pipes are backed up.
Enough. Too early. I haven't had enough coffee. This is all the stuff for your rebrand. It all just keeps arriving.
Oh, hang on. Okay, yes, I recognise these. So these are the books that we are giving away. So there will be 1,000 of these being given away when we rebrand. When we launch the rebrand, all the new products, the first 1,000 orders are going to get one of these. This is Hayek for the 21st century. It is some of his most relevant and powerful essays.
So he's an economist?
He's an economist, very well known and very, very influential and rightly so. He is someone who is considered to be one of, he stands among probably 6 to 8 arguably voices on the Austrian end of the economic spectrum, so to speak.
Yep.
And he writes beautifully. He explains things well. This is 130, 140 odd pages of just a handful of his most relevant essays that are still relevant in the 21st century. So you can get that for free. Oh, no.
What? Yeah, these are what you got to sign. You got 1,000 of them.
I agreed to that.
I had a Sharpie to throw at you. I don't know
agreed
it's
to
gone.
that. Why did I agree to that? I said I would sign. So these are the thank you cards that you'll get.
You have a whole box of them here.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, so that's your job.
There's 1,000 of these, and I have to hand sign every single one.
Every single one. That is the requirement. We are stepping up the game.
Wow. Speaking of stepping up the game, these things are beautiful. They are and there's a little message there that I wrote, little personal message from me, and I will hand sign every single one of these. So if you order from me after the rebrand, if you order before the rebrand, you'll be able to get the designs that are about to go out of print. If you order after the rebrand, you will get some beautiful, beautiful presentation. It's such a pretty colour. I'm not going to hold it up, but the tissue...
It doesn't need to be on the desk, to be fair.
You're going to wrap things in tissue paper. Like, we're going all fancy.
Oh, yeah. I don't do things by halves.
I've noticed that, and I like it.
This is my theory with merch, right? If someone's going to spend their hard-earned cash with you, at least make them feel like they've invested in something they want to keep. I cannot stand shit merch. Can I just rant for 2 seconds?
Well, so long as you're not like having a go at mine.
No.
Let's not forget who designed most of my products here.
I would never. No, I love a good band tee. And I'm a big live music girl. And so I love to buy the band T-shirts.
Yeah.
And I like the memento. I like to keep them.
Yeah.
But most of the time, like I was at Chili Peppers and Post Malone, and these T-shirts could be tea towels. Like they literally stand upright. They're that hard. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I get it. You got to be economic. That's fine. But having been in production for so long, you can make cheap T-shirts that aren't like abrasive, that feel like sandpaper. Especially when you're doing it that volume.
Yeah. It's such a balancing act though, because when I was doing the Aussie Wire, we sponsored the tour of Donald Trump Jr. that never happened. We lost our sponsorship on that, and all that just turned into a whole mess.
That was a clusterfuck, yes.
Yeah. But we stocked up, and I funded this out of my own pocket. We stocked up on $30,000 worth of pre-made T-shirts and hoodies in the Good People Break Bad Laws design. And we were debating. We had a big internal team debate about, do we make it like band merch, where it's going to have the date and the tour and Donald Trump Jr. or we're just going to leave it as clean, original, exactly indistinguishable from And I'm so glad I said no to customizing it, because if we had, it'd have a date on it that never got met for a tour that never happened. And I'd be sitting there with,
you'd be done.
As it is, we have a good supply of Good People Break Bad Laws. Good People Break Bad Laws is not going out of stock anytime soon. That's staying in stock. And we'll be selling our way through that stock up for the next little while. So it's like, I have a lot of sympathy for people that are trying to do band merch, especially if it's bespoke to that event.
Yeah.
Like if it's got that date on it and what have you. Like that's a high risk operation.
One of my favorite T-shirts, I really like Coldplay, and you guys can judge me. I think
we judge you all the time, Carly. Your musical taste is so far down the list.
I like everything. How can you say that? I have very eclectic music taste.
Down the list of reasons to judge you.
Gotcha. Sorry, I misunderstood.
Like we're so busy judging you for all of the other things.
Do you know what's funny is Coldplay is not a band that I regularly listen to on Spotify. Like it's there, but I don't often opt for it. But every time they come to Australia, I will be there with bells on. It's like the best live concert I've ever been to, multiple times.
So, I don't know if I've mentioned this on the show. Did you know that I'm going to see Akadaka?
Oh, I didn't know that.
In Sydney.
I thought they'd already been done.
Done in Melbourne. So a fan has invited me to join him.
How lovely.
At Akadaka. I can't afford it, but he has very, very kindly said, hey, come along. I want you to come along and enjoy this evening with me.
I've never picked you for a thunderstruck.
Well, look, I will do my best to blend in. I've got to be honest, I am going to be a little bit of a fish out of water. But
I don't think so. They're all old curmudgeons that are going, so you'll blend right in.
I might have found my tribe. But
most of them will be silver-haired.
I've heard that the concert was phenomenal in Melbourne.
Yeah.
And people are, oftentimes when they do these older, they're kind of aging out tours, they really feel like they've run out of puff.
Would they be in their 70s?
They've got to be.
They'd be getting on.
But apparently, no sign of running. Like apparently it was a rip snorter of a concert.
That's good, because I know people who saw Guns N' Roses last time, it was horrendous, and their voices sort of start to go, which, I understand.
Of course it does. I mean, biologically, yes. Johnny Farnham's not the Johnny Farnham of old, and that's just a reality. That's not his fault. That's just a reality. But, the concerts have come so far as well. When you think about what a concert was when these guys were up and coming versus what a stadium concert is now.
Who went to Metallica in the chat? Let me know, because I really wanted to go, but I didn't get tickets.
I heard good things about that one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them live a few times, and they are awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is not what people come here for. We'll get in trouble.
It not?
Good news.
Good news. Oh, goodness. Good. You first. That's my good news.
I was actually like, what is my good news?
Yeah, I know. I'm a bit... Oh, no. Okay. No, I've got some good news to share. So one of my two daughters became quite hard of hearing after having had a flu or had a head cold, and it persisted. And so we got her checked out, and they said, look, there's a very remote chance of actual hearing loss as a result of a viral infection. The most likely by far, by a country mile, is some fluid inside the ears, and we need to put grommets in just to release that pressure and let that out and blah, blah, blah. So I went with her, accompanied her to the hospital on Monday morning, and she went through the procedure. She was amazing. She was so with it. We used Daniel Tiger. I don't know if you wouldn't really be across the whole kids' cartoon scene.
No idea.
But Daniel Tiger's neighborhood is basically a modernized version of Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. It's literally built around him and his ethos and all of that. And it uses a little character, a little animated tiger as the main character, and basically puts him through a whole bunch of scenarios that children face. Everything from toilet training to sleeping through the night to being scared of a shadow to trying new food to going into hospital and they have one on grommets, on ear surgery, right up to and including the mask and the anesthetic and all that stuff. Yeah. So we watched that with her a few times, and she asked lots of questions and we talked through it, and then she was amazing. She was so good. We came out of the surgery, or she came out of the surgery, she began to wake up. The surgeon came and talked to me and said, yeah, there was a huge amount of fluid. Even in his experience, it was a lot of fluid behind the ears, both ears. Yeah. And
poor little
well, it's actually a really good sign, because it means it's almost a certainty that there is no other issue, that was the issue. That's 100% of the issue. And yeah, she's been hearing much better ever since. And boy, is she a chatterbox all of a sudden. Like, she's just re-engaged with the world, because it had kind of gone a bit dull for her. She's re-engaged, and my goodness, is there an off button on this child?
Bless her. Oh. I remember being a little kid, and I used to do competitive swimming. And I mean, like little. I was like maybe 9 or 10. Yeah. And I got an ear infection, and it cleared up, but like I couldn't hear, and I had problems for ages, and that's like a real swimmer's thing. Yeah. Anyway, one day we went and got my ears, washed out or whatever, and this horrible big blob of stuff came out. Sorry, overshare. But I remember like afterwards, just like,
oh my goodness, yeah.
That relief. So I can only imagine.
Yeah, so that's my good news. It went well. Her hearing is all good, and
It must be hard for a kid when things are happening in your body and you don't have the means to explain what's going on either. You're just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, for her, we noticed it more than she did. Yeah, because she became unresponsive, and then you're like, okay, is this attitude or is this actually a medical thing? And we got her home. It's amazing how quickly. Like, I just assumed there'd be recovery time and everything else. And obviously, there is, but instantly, I could just talk to her like this, and she would hear, whereas we'd gotten in the habit of having to raise our voices, to get her attention. So we talk to the other kids, and then talk to the other kids, and all of a sudden, all of that's gone.
Yeah. Oh, there you go.
That's
well
really
done.
Nice. Yeah.
My good news. I've had almost about 150 people sign up for my AI masterclass.
Wow.
Which is huge.
Are all of them just AI bot accounts?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
That explains it.
Yeah. No, actually, so when you know what it's like when you sort of put it out there and go, hey, I'm thinking of doing a thing, and people are overly enthusiastic. Yeah, let's do the thing. Yeah. And then you release it and people are like, oh, I didn't actually mean I was going to actually do it.
Yes.
That, I don't have that too often. I have a really awesome audience, and they are very supportive, and they genuinely give me their feedback. But with this one, I was like, oh, look, it's AI, and having read 18 months worth of doomsday around AI, it's the death of creative industry. Yeah. And even just recently, there was an article in the fashion, one of the big main fashion business accounts on Instagram, reading through the comments, just AI is the end of the world. And I thought to myself, God, like, have I got it wrong? Yeah. Everyone else seems to be like, oh, God. Anyway, put it out to my Instagram, very receptive. But also, I put up like a little question box, and I said to them, what are your concerns? What are you interested in? Yeah. And everyone is exactly where I thought they might be, which is I'm curious, I'm enthusiastic, but I also have no idea where to start.
Yeah. And it's such a big world, and it evolves so quickly. It's so difficult. But that thing that you said about how you get an enthusiastic response and it doesn't always translate. My worst case of that was I launched a coffee brand a while ago.
Oh, yes,
and
yep.
because my ambition has always been to not be having to ask for donations. I do ask for donations, and I'm very grateful to the people that do donate. But it's a weird thing. It's I don't like that. And so my intention was to have books and to have merch, and then to actually have everyday things that people are already spending money on, things like coffee, and say, well, if you're already spending money on coffee, why not spend it with me instead? It doesn't. So you're not hurting, but now you're helping to support my work.
Yeah.
That was the theory. And so I announced it and sort of put the brand out there, and had about 480 people signed up to an expression of interest.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I was trying to do the traditional pathway thing where you kind of have this runway to launch and you're building a momentum and da. And obviously I didn't get it right or something. By the time it was all said and done, I had less than 60 people sign up to the first month's subscription.
Yeah.
And that dwindled a little bit over time, and we were just never able to get it up to a critical mass. So I think I ran that for about 9 months and then went, this is taking more of my time than it is actually supplying me income. And so I killed it off. So I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
And it is always nice when that enthusiasm does actually translate.
On that though, it's really interesting because I love reading about data. I'm a data nerd.
Yeah.
And I run this AI app called Particle, and Particle gives you your competitors' sales data. So basically, it's scraping the internet. And you can look at, say, like big brands and look at what they're doing on Black Friday, how many units they're selling.
Okay.
I don't know how it aggregates this data, but it does.
There's got to be some guesswork involved. But then again, there are metrics that you can use.
Yeah. And I love success. I love seeing people do well. And Black Friday is obviously one that I'm always interested in because, you have the people who run on the discounts. And so they make barely any money during the year. But that 1 month, that's when they make most of their gross.
Yeah.
And then you have the others who refuse to go on sale and vice versa. Mm-hmm. And I saw a really interesting article where people were debating, what to do. And then I was reading the comments, as I do, and it's so interesting because the thing is, if I can understand how people opposite to me think, I can think of ways that we can be able to have some dialogue and
bridge that gap a little bit.
Yeah, and that's why I'm obsessed with the comment threads. Anyway, people were saying oh, haha, it was failed. They failed. They just can't admit it. And there was all this commentary around failure when things don't necessarily take off. I'm like, of all the things that you try throughout your life, probably one will be successful. And that level of success is really determinant on how much shit you're willing to cop.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because it was an influencer brand, really well-known guy influencer, and he's just released his brand during Black Friday.
Yeah.
And his T-shirts are $110.
Yeah, wow.
And I'm fascinated. And it just turns out that we may not have the same supplier.
He's doing like a Yeezy.
Yeah,
he's just...
And look, I was looking at it. I wouldn't pay for it. I didn't say it was bad. It's just I myself didn't see the value in that. Yeah. If it was a cool design, no, totally different.
Yeah.
But reading the comments, his own audience were like, "You're out of touch. $100 for a T-shirt. That's ridiculous." And his commentary back to it was brilliant. He's like, "Then it's not for you.
Yeah.
I don't need to discount."
And that is exactly correct if that's the approach that you choose to take as a business.
And people were like, "Oh, this is going to fail."
Yeah.
And it's just really interesting to see how people react to stuff like that.
So this is something I had to learn from my wife after we got married. I'm not a brands guy. I couldn't care less. And
that's why you have me.
When I see someone flashing brands, they have to have the Louis Vuitton
or you mean that?
The Gucci belt or these sorts of things. I look at it and I go, what are you covering up? I make negative assumptions about you as a human being. When they think, oh, this makes me look good, in my head, I'm like, no, opposite.
Yeah.
But my wife likes nice things, and there's a couple of brands that she does have a bit of a soft spot for. She's not a big flashy brand person, but nevertheless, she sees brand very differently to how I do. And we were going through Chadstone. We used to live down in Melbourne, and we'd go to Chadstone from time to time. And in that sort of end of Chadstone, you would see these people lined up behind a rope with a security guard there, waiting for their turn to go into the Louis Vuitton store or some of these more high-end stores. And I'm like, go to Kmart. Yeah. They've got so many bags on the shelf. Like, are you serious right now? And these are people, they're wearing all the right things, and clearly they've got money. They're about to spend a lot of money, and they're literally standing there like children lined up for the canteen at lunchtime. And my wife sort of explained it to me. She said, That's part of the brand.
Yeah.
They're not hurting their sales by making people wait outside.
Yeah.
Those people being forced to wait outside are now going to value that thing so much more.
It's called hypebeast.
And the fact that it's outrageously priced and most people can't afford it is the appeal.
Yeah.
They wouldn't buy it if it was comparably priced to the other stuff. They know that it's not better, but the fact that it is so much more expensive is the appeal.
Yeah. I love reading all this commentary around late stage capitalism.
Yeah.
And maybe if we've got time later, we can talk about it. Because obviously this comes down to political ideology as well, which is why your Zohans and all these people are starting to see a rise.
Yeah.
Because Gen Z really does seem to believe that if you're successful, it means someone else has gone without.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's fixed pie thinking.
Correct.
Yeah.
And they don't see it any other way. This is how. So if I happen to be successful and acquire wealth from merch or something, they believe it's because I've somehow swindled or grifted.
Someone else is going hungry because of you.
And they say things like, oh, you know, like they talk about influencers. I know that's the word that we're meant to use, but I hate that word for so many reasons. It's because like I'm a professional photographer. But anyway, these people say, oh, you know, she's grifting or she's scamming people to buy this merch. I'm like, where's the scam? These people are a grown-ass adult.
I have a product. Here's the price. Buy it if you would like to.
Yeah. You're a grown-ass adult who is willingly typing in your credit card details to buy something that you would like to buy for yourself.
Yeah.
Where's the scam? The scam would be a Ponzi scheme where you never actually give the thing that you say.
The scam would be we're going to spend billions of dollars on completely transforming our energy grid, making it less reliable and more expensive and making people billionaires in the process. The scam would be we're going to give you medical indemnity whilst forcing people to receive an injection into their body whether they like it or not. You're going to become trillionaires as a result. There's lots of scams in the world.
Yes.
Almost all of them are government run. There are a handful of private sector scams, I will admit, but the vast majority of scams in the world are government run. And influencers selling merch are precisely none of them.
Yeah. Do you know what? So since I've got to bring this up really quickly, the Discord is going off.
Yeah.
Right. So
am I going to have to add yet another app? My phone is already heavy enough. If I add more apps, the thing's going to fall through my pocket.
I think it's the best thing we've done. I think the Discord is going to be like the value add for all the OG Oddies because they're so pumped to speak to each other. I mean, we watch them every Wednesday having a chat.
Who gave them permission to speak?
Well,
we speak, they listen.
We're
That's
libertarians.
How this works.
They can do what they want. So they're all in there. And so G's done a really amazing job. So just so you guys know, G and I are doing this at night on the couch after work. So we're not a team. We don't have like extra people. It's literally us.
Yeah.
And so you need to prove that you're an OG Oddie if you want to go into the OG Oddies section. And we're literally manually checking your email to make sure you're there.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring this up is I knew what would happen. We've released the Discord and there would be some people who are trolls or haters who have tried to get into it. And we definitely had a couple infiltrate. And they love to repost that same video from COVID. Carly's a grifter.
Oh, yeah.
She's a scammer.
Yeah.
And G was like, do you want to nip this in the bud? Do you want to say something to nip it in the bud? And I'm like, how many more times can I mention it?
Yeah.
How many more times can I address it?
So many times.
You know, and every time this video pops up, I'm like, and it's from 2021. What do you want me to say that I haven't already said?
It was wrong then. It's still wrong now.
And all you're doing is giving this person some views. But on there, so I said to him, like, let's Google myself. I haven't looked at myself on Google for a long time.
Brave.
And it wasn't bad. There was one article there, and because when I read the articles at the time, it was full of defamation.
Yeah.
And obviously I wasn't in a position to take down news.com or a current affair for defamation.
Yeah.
And the time's passed. You get 18 months to do it. But they have gone back and retroactively edited these articles.
Have they?
Because they knew they were wrong.
Right.
And because the headlines have completely changed. Now, I haven't looked at them since 2021. But the headline of the Daily Mail article is she remains defiant as she calls out Good Samaritan. And that's the guy who started the GoFundMe.
Right.
That wasn't in there before. That context was not in there.
Yeah.
So the story has changed. They've been covering their tracks.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Which is funny because if there is that limitation of liability, I actually wasn't aware of that with...
18 months for defamation.
18 months for defamation. I wasn't aware of the limitation of liability. But if that's there, then there's kind of a who cares? Like, why would they bother? And I wonder when those adjustments were made. Were they made within the time frame where they were a bit more worried? That, hang on, more information's come out here. We might be able to...
We may have jumped the gun a bit.
You know, I saw a funny one. I now have to subscribe to all the news services, same as you. I hate giving them my money, but I have to. And I got the email in the morning. I get multiple emails a day from each of them. And one of the stories was apology to Sam Groth and her husband. And it was the most non-apology ever. All it said was... we posted an article that said things about Sam Groth and her husband. We did not intend to imply that they had done anything wrong.
So they're only doing it because someone from higher up was like, you need to do something.
So ass covering.
Yeah.
No context, and no actual acknowledgement that they were wrong.
Yeah.
Only, it looks like some people might have interpreted it this way.
Yeah.
So we just want to clarify, we didn't intend it.
We're sorry that you're sorry that you're wrong.
We're sorry that you read it the way that you read it.
That's the most gaslighty response. Like, oh, I'm sorry that you're offended.
Now, I know nothing about the actual story. Like, Sam, I don't follow the days of our lives side of politics. I just don't care. So I know nothing about the story, but I'm sitting there going,
well, we are seeing heads roll. And so, like, when it comes to defamation, so many people are like, why didn't you go defamation? I don't have $250,000.
Yeah, correct.
And that's the minimum when it comes to defamation.
You can get all the justice that you can afford in this country.
Yeah, and that's, like, the honest truth. It's $250,000 to get there and then argue. And you have to prove that you've suffered financial loss, which, I mean, I could have.
It doesn't have to be financial. It can be reputational, but it ultimately has to be quantified down to an amount of money.
Yes.
It's a civil case, and so the compensation is money.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't really want to go to court, but anyway, it is what it is. But, you know, when haters or trolls bring up that same story, oh, she's a grifter, every time I hear the story, it's changed.
Yeah.
So now, like, I've told the story 100 times. I don't want to keep repeating it. But, you know, when her car got broken into, that was insurance fraud. I'm like, I love that you say that because I don't actually have insurance. But anyway, doesn't matter. And they're so caught up on something that happened 5 years ago with the narrative that came out 5 years ago. And they can't...
And to be clear, where the narrative was wrong already 5 years ago.
Yeah, and I how many times can I set the record straight?
Yeah.
I'm bored by it.
Anyway,
Get over
so they're
it.
going
Anyway,
to the Discord.
So they're going to the Discord. Hang on, I was going to say, we now looking at the BBC and the ABC being held accountable for stuff they did 2018. So it's fascinating because now we're seeing that the news does in fact lie and lie significantly. So much so that it actually sways elections.
And not by accident.
Yeah, and it's deliberate.
This was a conscious editorial decision.
Yeah, but they couldn't be doing that in other ways.
Oh, no.
It wouldn't happen.
I did a video recently sort of re-bringing up the whole Trump tipping the fish food into the pond in Japan. I brought that up again saying, guys, the people that edited this video this way knew. Yeah. They knew what the truth was.
It was deliberate.
They didn't want you to see the truth.
Yeah, it's lying by omission by deliberately editing.
Yeah.
But so, funny thing, so with the Discord, a person has tried to infiltrate. Yeah. And, we were asking people to show that they were OG Oddies and we were trying to collate. And it gets confusing because we know everyone by their handle. Yeah. We don't know their actual name. Yeah. So we're trying to fix that all up. And then this person, one person put a screenshot and said, oh, this is my Ko-fi page, I'm in. Yeah. And we're cool. And then the next day, this scammer, I'm going to call him a scammer because it's exactly what they did. They grabbed that screenshot, obviously took it into Canva or something, changed it to be their name and their profile picture and said, oh, I'm an OG Oddie too. And obviously we're cross-referencing. We're like, no, you're not. But you've gone to the trouble to take that screenshot, doctor it to try and infiltrate the Discord. I'm like, who's the scammer?
Yeah.
You have to lie to get into this. Yeah. Like, look at yourself, bro. Yeah. But anyway.
Just sign up to coffee and actually give us some money.
You could have just paid $15 and then you would have got in.
You'd be in.
Yeah.
Happy days.
You didn't have to go to all that effort.
So funny. But also, if they just took a little bit of this effort and energy and invested it into making the world a better place.
Yeah. Right? Well, okay, so now that you've said that, I want to start with this story because I have something to say about it, but I'm going to let you go first because I feel exactly that. So this is a story about, sorry, I'll do that one so we can see it better. This is Sergeant Natalie. Sergeant Natalie was posted yesterday as part of trans visibility or something like that. Natalie came out in 2023 and is a trans woman.
Now, what's really significant to me is that even in the commentary that they provide with us here, it's very evident that he, she, it realised they were trans with the help and support of the police specifically.
Yes.
Right? So they've gone through some sort of a process internally within the Victoria Police Force, funded on the taxpayer dime, through which they came to realise the truth about themselves. And this raises so many questions. Firstly, why are we paying for this? That sounds like something that shouldn't be being done on company time, let alone with company resources, company in this case being Victoria Police. Secondly, there is a big amount of who cares for me in this story as well. Nobody cared about any of this stuff until until basically the trans community decided you all have to care and you all have to validate and you all have to agree and you all
we
have
are
to
the squeaky
blah, blah, blah,
wheel, and you will give us all the attention.
And for the Victoria Police to be pushing this forward at a time when crime's out of control, youths aren't getting remanded in custody, people aren't safe in their homes, you can't drive through an intersection even when the light's green without double checking for a runaway stolen car. And this is the stuff they want to put forward. This is their version of Anthony Albanese and Jacinta Allen being in the train the other day. This is like,
that's exactly how I saw it.
Why are we talking about this at a time like this?
And it went down with a lead balloon, and obviously Victoria Police or their PR management team, whoever runs the socials, was deleting comments left and right, which infuriates me even more. Let us have our say. You want to put this out there, you better believe that us, as the taxpayers who also are funding this, we get to have a say.
Correct.
You don't get to turn comments off. This is not a private business, and you have put this out there for the Victorian taxpayers to look at. We get to object.
You did this to yourself.
And so they've turned comments off. But I just want to read you this one thing. So from a young age, Nat knew there was a disconnect between how she felt and how she looked. Growing up in the 70s, there wasn't the language to describe how she felt, and so she pushed the feelings down and carried on. In 2011, Nat joined Victoria Police at 43 years of age after working in IT. It was through counselling and support from the Victoria Police Welfare Unit and Pride Network, a community of Victorian police employees who identify as LGBTIQA+, and their allies, that Nat was able to figure out who she was and confide in her family about how she was feeling. I'm sorry, this sounds like a freaking cult to me. Oh, we'll help you understand.
And what a sales pitch.
Right?
What a sales pitch, right?
Go on. It says, through her, she's grateful for the support she's received from the Victorian Police, and she is particularly those in the Victorian Police Trans and Gender Diverse Employee Network. What the hell? What the hell? Why is that a thing? Anyway, part of my job is helping others navigate their way through stressful or difficult times that can occur either professionally or personally, and sometimes both. In particular, helping others come to terms with how they're feeling and who they are, and be amazing and fulfilling and that's the best part of my role. Okay, cool. So your job as a Vic Pol officer is to make people feel warm and fuzzy. At what point do Vic Police focus on, community safety?
Yeah.
Repairing the relationship when you were used as the Daniel Andrews private Gestapo and Victorians resent you?
Yeah.
How about using Vic Pol to actually help clean up the city?
Yeah.
Stop random girls being stabbed in the lung.
And this is the opportunity cost issue that people don't realise. They're like, oh, it's just innocent. This is just the support network.
There's nothing innocent about this.
Every moment spent on that stuff has an opportunity cost.
Yes.
It is time, effort, energy, resources, focus, budget that is not going into the things that actually matter. Now, what you want to do in your own time, in your own life, you can screw up your own life in whatever ways you want. I'm a libertarian. I'm all for you having the right to make those decisions for yourself. Do it in your own time. Mm-hmm. Do it on your own dime. And do not expect it to have any impact whatsoever on your employment. Don't be, to be being put out there as kind of like this. This is a virtue signal from Victoria Police, right?
This is a directive from the Victorian government. Vic Police is meant to be its own entity and not be beholden to the identity politics or the ideology of the government of the day.
Yeah.
This is identity politics. This is very much progressive woke shit that you are pushing onto the rest of the state.
Yep. No, I've got no time for it. I think that's probably enough said, though.
Yeah, that just frustrates me. Given the environment we're living in, that's the priorities of Vic Pol. That's where we're at.
Leave Victoria.
I'm trying.
You are very trying.
I know.
I think that every time I come down here.
You know who's trying? Kevin Rudd.
Oh, he's a try hard. He's a try hard.
Oh my God, how many tabs? Hang on.
The bloke will not go away. He's like my most recent case of hemorrhoids. It doesn't matter what I do.
Okay, this is crud.
Okay.
And to be fair, I've got to take those off. Only the Daily Mail has posted this so far, so we also have some friends in the Aussie press.
Well, yes and no. So this is going to lead us into the whole Epstein thing.
Yes.
So you're happy for that to happen?
Yeah, that's
all right,
where I
this
thought
is
we'd
our
go.
gateway in. All right. So we've just seen the US House has approved a bill requiring the Justice Department to release everything related to Epstein. The Senate passed the same bill unanimously only a few hours later.
I have that here somewhere.
Donald Trump has said that he's going to sign it. So that means that at some point, probably, possibly by the time Oddies, you guys are watching this, or sometime tomorrow our time, it'll be signed into law, and obviously then there'll be some lag, and at some point in time, everything is going to be dropped.
This feels like a nothing burger. I don't think they're ever going to give us what we want. It's like JFK.
So what they're doing is they're switching the tactics. So they were trying to control what we thought by not giving us the information. Now they're going to try and control what we think about the information by dumping it all at once. And the situation with Kevin Rudd illustrates it perfectly. It's why I wanted to go there before we came back to Kevin Rudd. Because Kevin Rudd is named in one of the emails between a publisher and Jeffrey Epstein. What does that mean? Does that mean that he went to the ICE? He's some evil whatever, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's denying it. Oh, of course he's denying it. All this, right? Okay, so now suddenly we've got, just hit the microphone, why don't I? Suddenly we've got all this noise around it, right? Well, what it actually means, if you go in and read the article, which unfortunately a lot of people won't, is that he was named in a draft media publication that then was never published. The reason it's in the emails is because that draft was sent to Jeffrey Epstein. We don't know why it was never published. It may have been never published because Jeffrey said, oh, look, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there that's not actually accurate and I can't be bothered. And it died, right? It never got published. So Rudd's name is mentioned in that article in the context of having allegedly been at a cocktail party or a dinner party or something at Jeffrey or with Jeffrey Epstein. I think it was maybe at Jeffrey Epstein's place
in Manhattan.
And that is the sum total of his connection.
Yeah.
Right, is that his name came up in an article written by a journalist that was emailed to Jeffrey Epstein that was never published, and in that article it was said that he attended an event that was hosted by Jeffrey Epstein. Now Rudd says he was never there.
Yeah.
And he's released some photographs of the events that he says he did go to on that evening. He's talked about his diary, blah, blah, blah. This is what I was doing. This is what I was not. I can't speak one way or the other, except that obviously innocent until proven guilty. And even if he had attended an event with Epstein present, it doesn't actually prove anything, even if that were true, which to be clear, he says it's not. And this is the problem now. All the names are going to come out.
Yeah.
But this isn't, people imagine there's going to be some list of the, and of this is the person, this is when he came to my island, these are the names of the girls that he raped and da-da-da-da-da, right? That list doesn't exist in that sense.
No.
All we're going to get is a dump of all of the documents, which is everything. Email history, phone history, text messages. People's names are going to come up because they get mentioned by someone talking about someone. Yeah. We saw recently Donald Trump was, the Democrats were forcing the release of some documents that incriminated Donald Trump. No, they didn't.
They keep trying this though, and I've got to say, I'm exhausted by this Epstein stuff. It just feels like a circus, and it is a circus. And, watching the Democrats trying to flip it and say, why won't they release them? I'm like, why didn't you do it under Biden?
Yeah, correct. And so now all of a sudden we've had this moment. So they've been flipping backwards and forwards, and every time one of them flipped, the other would flip. So one of them was always against it, one of them was always for it over the last number of years. Finally, they've all said, yes, let's do this. But the strategy now is safety in just sheer volume of information. I'll give you another example of when this has happened. We saw the Pfizer files. They applied for, was it a 70-year?
75 years.
75-year moratorium. They didn't have to release any information for that long. The court said, no, you have to release it. So what did they do? They started just releasing massive dumps of data so that it was the volume of data was so much you weren't going to be able to make sense of it.
Yeah.
Now, not Virginia Woolf.
Gulfrey?
No. I'm sorry. I'm switching. I'm still on I'm still on the Pfizer story.
Oh.
Naomi Wolf put together a team with the help of Steve Bannon, and they went through those files and actually managed to make sense of a lot of it, and they did all that work. The same thing's going to have to happen here. But what's telling is, as best as we're aware, the Justice Department hasn't done that. As best as we're aware, no one from a law enforcement point of view has really gone through this properly and is actually going to be able to, in all of that information, is there going to be a list of, this is what we investigated, this is what we found, this is what we believe these people did, and these are the charges that are going to get laid.
Yeah.
That will not exist.
Well, now this whole Epstein thing's fracturing MAGA, which, I've got to say this.
I think that'll be gone so quickly. That fracture will be gone and over so fast.
I'm just over it. Like the same with the squabbles in Australian politics. I know this is politics 101. I get that it's all about dirty tactics and backstabbing. But as a taxpayer and as a Victorian, Australian, world citizen, I'm looking at this going, get your shit together.
Yeah. So
this is like watching children argue in a sandpit.
Yeah. The problem is going to go from we don't have anyone's names to everyone's name's in there and it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. So it's like the whole, if everyone's a Nazi, no one's a Nazi.
Yeah. And so we're going to need to see some sort of a citizen-led effort to try and make sense of all these files, similar to what happened with the Pfizer papers. That's why I bring those up.
Hopefully
that'll happen.
what I find curious is, so House and Habit, to be fair, she has been on the Epstein. She went to the Ghislaine Maxwell trial.
Yep.
She's been on this for a long time.
Before it was cool.
And she's documented everything, and she's done an incredible job. If you guys aren't following her, go follow her on Instagram, House and Habit. And she's been breaking down the victims. And I say that with like inverted commas because, like I said last week about that rape case or that fake rape case against a footballer.
The footballer, yeah.
So many women are doing this as a power play that it's now getting to the point where my first reaction is, I'm skeptical.
Which is a horrible place
100%.
to have to be.
100%. You know, the Brittany Higgins stuff, like all of it, I now look at it and go, I'll wait.
Yeah, correct.
And so the women that were behind Marjorie Taylor Greene, who now Trump is calling out and whatever, and same with Thomas Massey.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know much about American politics, this matters for a couple of reasons because, again, this is all a distraction. Whilst these guys are all doing this, Americans, Australians are still living under a cost of living crisis. We can't buy homes. Like there are so many
We're single-handedly saving the world by not having our own manufacturing industry anymore.
And we have genuine threats from Russia and China who are going forth and not worried about climate change. And the best our politicians, our taxpayer-funded politicians can do is squabble over internal shit. I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
I know that people squabble. I know that people workplaces can be toxic. I get all that. I actually don't care.
Yeah.
Keep it to yourself.
But do also just pay attention with American politics in particular. Splits are very rarely permanent, and in fact, they're very rarely long-lived. So have a look at what happened with Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Have a look at what's happened with, Marjorie Taylor Greene came over to Trump's side. I met her at Mar-a-Lago when I was there in February last year. She released one of her books there. They were, best bros, Trump and her. And now all of a sudden they've split. Look, honestly, this Epstein stuff, they split largely because of the Epstein stuff, right? Because Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't flip-flop when Trump did. This will be forgotten and gone in 3 months. It shouldn't be, but it will be. This is just, I'm just saying, this is the reality. This is going to be forgotten and gone in 3 months. And have a look at how quickly Donald Trump, once he realized, hang on, we need to pivot on our rare earth minerals, I'm going to go and buddy up to Anthony Albanese.
Yeah.
Right? Look how quickly that turned. The moment Trump realized he needed something.
Yeah.
That's the nature of politics. The minute Marjorie Taylor Greene has something useful for Trump, or vice versa, their friendship will be mended instantly.
Yeah.
Bygones will be bygones in a heartbeat. Not because they're actually friends.
Yeah.
They never were.
Yeah.
It's because they will buddy up when it's in their mutual interest. Yeah.
And look, I get that, but the whole Epstein thing, I don't think we'll ever get the answer. Like everyone that I see commentating online, it doesn't matter if they're American commentators or Australian commentators, everyone thinks that there's like this golden egg somewhere and we're going to uncover it. There is no like holy grail. This is just a massive mess of he said, she said, and like, I don't know, maybe I'm becoming jaded by it all. Does it even matter at this point? Does it even matter? So
people have been saying that online. I'm going to go into bat and say it most certainly does. And people may...
Well, the reason I say does it matter is no one's going to be held accountable.
Sure. So if you take that presumption, then you could argue that there's no point.
Yeah.
I think that's a presumption that becomes inevitable if we make the presumption. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's really important to make the attempt in the same way as I didn't think that protesting down in Melbourne against the lockdowns was going to change the government's policy in any great hurry. But standing up and having it go on the record for all of time that not everyone went along with this was important in its own right.
Yeah.
And I think, someone made the point earlier today, I'm sick of hearing about this. Can we just talk about, cost of living and crime and da-da-da? I can't believe that people who think they can run a country are still so caught up in this stuff. I'm like, well, if you can't bring justice in the context of the worst and most not worst in terms of the size, but the most high profile, reaching into the highest levels of some of the most powerful governments in the Western world, human trafficking, sex trafficking ring. And if we just go, then I don't think you're governing at all. Like law enforcement 101, it's kind of one of the fundamental responsibilities of government. And I don't think they get to abdicate just because this is messy and hard. There's been lots of messy and hard court cases over the years. It looks like the only person who might suffer any real consequences is going to be Prince Andrew. And
is he like the scapegoat?
No, I don't think so. I think the stench around him just got too strong, and they couldn't avoid it any longer. And look, to be fair, the royal family do have a little bit of a history of dealing with wayward members. So this is a little bit before our time. But the former King of England, before Elizabeth's dad, Queen Elizabeth's dad was king, whatever he was, his brother was originally the king.
Yes.
And he resigned after less than 12 months. He hadn't been coronated yet. He resigned because he wanted to go and marry a divorced American actress.
Yes, I remember this from The Crown.
Okay, right. And so then his brother, Queen Elizabeth's dad, became the king, and then Queen Elizabeth became the heir to the throne at that point. Now, what's interesting is that post-World War II, they discovered that the former king, the brother of Queen Elizabeth's dad, had been an active Nazi sympathiser.
Oh.
And they banished him. They
Yeah,
said,
there you go.
You set foot back on the British Isles, there's going to be trouble, right? So the British royal family, to their credit, and there's not a lot of things to credit them for, but to their credit, they do have some history in actually dealing with, I mean, he was a former king, right? And they still said no.
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't think that the majority of people are okay with what Prince Andrew did, including the majority of his own family members.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Yeah. And just because they're in the same family, in the same way that you'd be disgusted if you found out that your uncle did X, Y, or Z, like, of course, you're still going to be disgusted. But for them, it's very high profile. It's very public.
Yeah.
It's all of that. But he's suffering some consequences, nothing like what he
doesn't get to
deserves.
live in the fancy palace
correct.
anymore.
Nothing like what I think he deserves, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it's unlikely that we're going to see substantial consequences beyond.
And same with the Clintons. Everyone keeps thinking they're going to have.
To finish this point, I still think we have to try.
Oh, look, I don't disagree with you, but it's exhausting because I feel like a lot of people's attention is on this and it dilutes our resources. And I agree with you. Like, if there's something to charge people on, absolutely, let's go after it.
Yeah.
But also, it does become that sunk cost fallacy where this has been in the headlines and the media for almost 2 terms of a presidency.
Yeah.
So, you sort of get to a point where you're like, okay.
But I'm going to say, if you've been human trafficked and used as an underage, sex girl for rich and powerful people, that probably never ages out in your life.
No, I get that.
You probably never get to the point where you're like, know what? It was 2 presidents ago. Like
No. On that, there is very credible evidence to suggest the victims who are currently in the media. I'm not saying all victims, but the victims that keep being pulled out in front of the press. They were high class escorts, and there's so House and Habit guys, go and watch her stories. She's done a massive deep dive on this. And she's like, I'm not saying that there's not real victims, but these ones aren't victims. These are high class escorts, and they're like all the evidence is there, all the links and all the data is there. And so you look at this, you're like, is this just another pantomime to give the meat for the base, right? Give them what they want because they're bloodthirsty, and you're never actually going to get the answer. Yeah. It's never going to be settled. We're going to be debating it again in 50 years, just like we have been with JFK, and probably we're going to keep doing with Charlie Kirk.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Was it CIA? Was it this?
Yeah, quite possibly. However, I think it's interesting. All of a sudden, both the House and the Senate, and Donald Trump as well, said he's going to sign it. All of a sudden, we see this backflip. And I think that's interesting. I think it's a good step. I think I would rather I would rather too much be released than not enough.
Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has come out saying on, what do you call it? Like, well, she got parliamentary privilege.
Yeah,
I don't know what they call it in the States.
She's a congresswoman, not a senator.
Yeah.
I think,
So she has said that I remain dedicated to my promise to read every single one of those names right here on the House floor if the corrupt Department of Justice, CIA and New York judges and foreign governments keep protecting the elite pedophile trafficking ring.
The problem is figuring out which names should be read out.
Yeah. Well, there's always that
gargantuan challenge.
The presumption of innocence until guilty. It doesn't feel like it's been like that for a long time.
Well, she can say those names without getting sued for defamation. That's the point of what she's doing. But I would hope, and I think she would have the integrity to not want to just read out every name. Oh, your name was in an email? Well, we're going to read that on the list too. She would want to have some integrity about it and say, well, no, these are the people that I think actually did something. Well, that's a years-long investigative process how much longer is she going to be a congresswoman for? How long before the opportunity
Trump's threatened
to do
primary her,
expires? Because if she just sits there and reads out every name that comes up in the emails and the documents, well, that's not going to do any good for anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is exhausting. You're right.
It's exhausting because it flip-flops so frequently that I feel like I'm in a whitewash after being dumped on by a massive wave.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out which way is up. And it's like, God, I just want to come out for air. That's what it feels like.
I think where we went into Clown Town was when Trump said we're going to release it, and then he did that really weird faux release thing.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
All of that. And ever since then, we've been in Upside Down land. It's just been bizarre watching them flip-flop, swapping sides. It's been one of the weirdest episodes in American history.
Yeah, 100%.
Political history.
So I want to give you guys a palate cleanse because I've decided that we need to interject every now and then with a palate cleanse. So talking about crime and talking about vigilantism and people starting to...
This sounds like a great palate cleanse.
Right? So I'm going to play you guys...
Blood.
Make sure it comes up. Yeah, and I'll refresh this.
I haven't seen this.
So hang on. Let me make it bigger. Oh, wait. Hang on. Sorry, this is on Instagram, so I have to go back. If it will let me. I
can't read that with or without my glasses.
And then I have to do this to make it bigger. And then sound. Oh, there's no sound.
I see. They go for the phone. She goes for them. Good on her.
Yes.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog.
Look at her. Look at her. She won't not let go of that leg.
Good on her.
Get him.
Good
Get
on
him.
her. Yes.
Wait for it.
Oh, yes.
Bang.
Smash him.
Down. And then
Smash
wait for
him.
it.
Oh, yes.
Car's in. Citizens arrest. Wait for it.
Is this on pay-per-view?
Wait for it. And then this guy just sinks the boot
Oh,
in.
yes.
Wait for it. He gets a couple in there for all of us. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Take that.
Give it to him.
Yes. Sinks the boot in. Champion.
Okay, see, that needs to be a spectator sport. We need pay-per-view.
100%.
We could fund law enforcement just doing pay-per-view for videos like that.
That is how we clap back. No more of this
where was that?
That was in Buenos Aires.
Nice.
In Argentina.
Good on her.
Yeah.
Far out.
And that's what we need to do.
100%.
Like fight back and
100%.
embarrass the shit out of these people.
Yeah.
So you were talking before about, we'll go to crime quickly since we're on that.
Yeah.
There was a story, and I'm trying to find it. You might have seen it, but a young boy was chased by a homeowner with a knife. It was in Queensland. Man chases teen with knife.
How long ago?
Like literally last couple of days.
No, I don't think I've seen this one.
Confronts home intruder with a knife, and the little kid started crying. So here we go. Hang on. Let's play this.
Reached the back door, wearing a mask and climbing over a patio railing to reach the back door on Monday. Homeowner Darcy received an alert from his cameras. The tradie rushed to his Inio Court home with a mate and picked up his hunting knife.
It was just protection more than anything. Wasn't going upstairs since I know what's up there, empty-handed. So.
Darcy claims the teen tried throwing a pocket knife at him. The intruder made a run for it.
By the time I got around there, I see him jump the whole balcony. And I was like, I hope he breaks his legs here, but sadly didn't.
The family dog called in for backup. It was here on Paradise Street the group caught the South Mackay man. They say he started crying when they made the citizens arrest.
Good.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
More.
Bottle
Give
those
me
tears.
More.
Bottle those tears.
Embarrass the shit out of them.
Yep.
Break a leg. Smash them down.
Yep.
That's what I want to see. More of this.
All right, I agree. Now, this story is in a slightly different category because there's a lot of unknowns with this story. So,
is this the...
Yeah, let's...
I've got the video if you want it.
Yeah, so my brain is not working. Yes, sorry, if you've got the video, please play the video.
Yeah, let me just pull it up. Hang on. Sorry. I'm just clicking through my tabs. 1 minute. You're talking about the car chase in the car with the shotgun?
Let's do that one, and then I want to get to the shootout that happened near my house.
Okay, hang on. Let me... There's 1 million tabs open. We need to have a intermission song.
Right, we've done all the run stuff. Hang on, where is this?
Here we go. Okay, here's the story. So, usual suspects. So, hang on.
This is a great story.
Sorry,
Everybody
guys.
watch this or listen to it if you're on the podcast.
Hang on, let me make it bigger again.
Is this indicative that
A
there is a
stop,
tone shift?
surrounded by police, armed masked men intercepted. The plot foiled thanks to a teenage boy. It began just before 5 last night. A black Mercedes slips into a Guildford West street. But something's not right. A 13-year-old boy and his mate head outside to take a look and start filming. But the recording cuts off. The boy scared for his life at what he saw.
SUV with some guys in there with black clothes and hoodies and possibly balaclavas on. He phoned his mum and the suggestion was ring 000.
Police are called, arriving in minutes, and the chase is on. The SUV weaving through suburban streets.
I was just out the front and a car flew past, and next thing you know, 3 cop cars are chasing it, sirens going and tearing around the corner.
It's short and dangerous, ending in a crashing halt at Marylands. The Mercedes smashed into a parked car on Patton Street. Those allegedly inside bolt.
He just shut off like a cat and he just ran and ran and ran.
Polair and the dog squad called in. 3 don't get far. A 19, 20 and 22-year-old taken down. Inside the car allegedly stolen from Victoria, police say they made a sinister discovery. A sawn-off shotgun and jerry cans filled with petrol.
What the vehicle was being used for is still under investigation. However, it's quite obvious that we've disrupted some further serious crime.
Police argued in court the actions of the men put the community in significant danger, alleging the stolen car was driven at speed on the wrong side of the road and through multiple sets of red lights. The trio tonight remain behind bars.
Stick with it.
2 of the men had their matters adjourned.
These are young men who should really be at home pending their trial and fighting their innocence.
While the other accused driver had his bail refused.
Look, his entered pleas of not guilty at this stage.
As the hunt continues for a 4th man.
He should be
not guilty.
Not guilty. These lawyers, I'm sorry, these lawyers in this, I know they're doing their job.
They have to.
I know.
And our system doesn't work unless someone's willing to do that. But
I get that. But, they should be at home defending their innocence.
Rich.
What is innocent?
Yeah.
So, how do you say that with a straight face?
Can I just say, though, the thing that I really want to see here, if we're going to see justice done, that 13-year-old needs to be hauled before the courts for racial profiling and discrimination, for looking through the window of a car and seeing a couple of black dudes in there and assuming that they were up to no good. I mean, the fact that they were up to no good and they had a sawn-off shotgun and jugs full of petrol and balaclavas on their heads, that's not relevant. What's relevant is that he should have seen black people and thought, you poor victims of discrimination, I am not going to racially profile you like this.
Yeah. So a couple of things. I'm going to jump all over the place and we'll go into it. But I'm going to say the thing that you shouldn't say out loud. And I'm happy to say it because at this point, it has to be said. They're African. This is a repeat thing and we are seeing it everywhere. We have lawyers saying that they need to be defending their innocence. We just listened to that. Yep. And in Victoria.
Significantly defending their innocence at home.
At home.
Right, not in custody.
Yeah. You've got a shorn-off shotgun and petrol and you're in a stolen car. You've had a police chase through a suburban neighbourhood and then you ran from the police and resisted arrest. I would say that those things alone would prove that you're not innocent. That aside, same thing in Victoria. They're repeatedly put out on bail. But now I am not saying that I sympathise with a neo-Nazi. But at the same time, we have now got a South African being deported for his political views. Now, I don't agree with the NSN. But deporting him because he has political views that aren't accepted in this country, but are saying that at the same time, these Sudanese or these Africans who repeatedly commit violent crime should be allowed to stay at home while pending their trial. What is going on?
So our politicians and media are currently recruiting for the NSN.
100%.
I swear they are.
That's what I'm saying. That's my point. This is what, I've said this so many times on the podcast. This is how you build a race war. You want to talk about apartheid? This is why it happens. Because the people who are actually doing the bad are making all of the Africans look bad. And then people make assumptions.
But then the system protects those people. And so then the reaction becomes justified in the minds of many.
People get mad. So like in Victoria, I am already seeing this. And it does worry me because I don't agree with neo-Nazism. I love my country. I care about my country, but I'm not as far as to say that only whites should live here. You know what I mean? But at the same time, and I'm seeing this from a lot of the political commentators online, they are becoming racist. And like it is actual racism at this point. And I understand why. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm saying I understand how they're arriving there. Because repeatedly, over and over, these people who are doing the carjackings, the home invasions, the machete crime, they are African.
Yeah.
And yes, I'm not saying that there's not white people. That's not my point. There's always going to be crime of some factor.
As a proportion of the population,
Yes.
Africans are
And
massively overrepresented.
Because our government cares so much about racial profiling, they refuse to do the thing that they need to do.
Yeah.
This actually gets worse. So you've got two things going simultaneously. One, if they keep getting away with it, it becomes a social contagion because it emboldens more youths to do the same thing. And they go, well, if they can get away with it, I can get away with it. And then you see actual organised crime going, great, we're going to start recruiting these young kids to do our dirty work for us because
100%.
they keep getting out on bail. And then what happens is the local community keeps seeing the fact that it's African kids. And you can call me a racist all you like, but this is exactly how we have arrived at this point. It's repeatedly African kids, Sudanese, South Sudanese, they're out on bail, they're killing each other. We've seen this multiple times and nothing seems to happen. So what's going to happen? The rest of Victoria is going to start resenting them. And that means that people will start looking at you sideways. If you have dark skin people and you're a teenager, people will assume that you're up to no good. And then all of a sudden you have people who are genuinely racially profiling and they will start to face serious consequences. I don't agree with it, but that's what happens when you don't do the thing that you should have been doing in the first place. Either putting them in jail to rot for a good 10 years, teach them a lesson, or deport them.
So you've made a lot of great points. Let me pick up a couple of threads. Firstly, any criminal that wants a gun has a gun. The idea that our gun laws are keeping guns out of the hands of criminals is a complete farce at this point. We saw the automatic weapon that was used we talked about that on Monday. You saw an off shotgun in the case of this car here. Second point, this is not their first rodeo. What were they, 18, 19 and 22 or 19, 20 and 22, something like that. These guys have rap sheets, and they have rap sheets from when they were minors. And because they weren't dealt with properly as minors, now they've moved into this space here, and where I would almost guarantee you they are operating directly alongside organised crime. And this is the big counter. People say, oh, if you lock kids up, they're just going to, it's like going to school for criminals. They're just going to learn more. If we keep letting them out, they are getting schooled by organised criminals. They are literally getting brought into those organisations as foot soldiers. So no, we have no choice now, in my view, except to clamp down fully and properly on all violent crime. And I don't care if the perpetrator is black or white. Yes, you're absolutely right. Disproportionately, they are South Sudanese people. But I don't care. The law needs to be exactly the same for every person, but the law right now is completely wrong for every person, and we need to fix that.
And like, it's going to sound like I'm sympathizing with the NSN here, and I'm not, but I'm looking at common sense and I'm looking at this very logically. Now, these guys are protesting. I don't support their argument, but I support their right to protest.
Yes,
I support their right to free speech, to say their views. And to be honest, I would prefer to know who they are. I think, okay, so we know who the South African man is. Cool. All right, everyone knows. Great. Happy days.
The problem here is that the only reason we know all about them, and the only reason they're recruiting so successfully at the moment, and they feel like they've got wind beneath their wings right now, they're moving towards starting a political party. Why? Because they're getting all this free advertising.
100%. It's
so ridiculous.
The media and the Albanese government are literally playing into their hand, and they're winning. And what I'm saying is that I understand how this is happening.
They're wrong, but I get how they've ended up where they are, and I get how they're able to use all of this to their advantage.
The more we keep demonising the NSN for just doing things like, saying what they believe and protesting, like they're not breaking a law. If they were breaking a law, totally different story. But this guy just went to a protest.
And to be clear, it was a protest that had been tacitly sanctioned by the police. So he literally showed up to a sanctioned protest and said things, which I think are completely incorrect, but that's all it took.
He didn't break a law. So we've now gotten to a point in our country where we're deporting someone purely because of their ideological viewpoints. And also, I might mention in this at the same time, we have a lot of political commentators who have been trying to come to Australia and they're not allowed. Candace Owens, like her a lumper, she's not allowed. The guy from Lotus Eaters, he can't come in.
Carl Benjamin?
The other guy.
The other guy,
oh, God, is his name?
Well, he calls himself Sargon of Akkad.
Yes, him.
Is that not Carl?
No.
Anyway,
anyway, not allowed in. Or if something's funny is going on with his visa. And so they're clamping down on the right-wing extremism whilst we literally have progressive politics allowing for organised crimes to let this thing happen. And I just want to play another scenario for you because, I went hard on this on Monday and someone called me emotional in the comments, right? I might be.
How dare you feel?
Imagine accusing a woman of being emotional.
How dare you feel?
How original.
Oh.
And the comment was, Tofi, you can't do the podcast with her. She's too emotional. And I want to clap back at that. I'm not offended.
I didn't read that one.
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
I want to clap back at that because would you prefer me to be like most of the Australians and apathetic and just going, oh, well, the ship's sinking. I guess we just go down with it. That's how most people are looking. We are the frogs in the pot. The pot is getting to boiling point and people are just sitting there like it's a spa.
Yeah.
Would you prefer that where I was really quiet? Like, I'll give you an example. You've accused me of being emotional. I brought you guys that video of the woman whose car was carjacked with her 2 children in the back seat. And when she talked to the media, she was like, oh, it's not very good. Would you like me to be passive? I can do that if that's what you want. If you want me to sit back and go, oh, someone got stabbed to death by a machete.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah.
Or, just hear me out, would you like me to have a bit of fucking passion to actually want to fight for change and get fired up and fire other people up to actually take action? And I'm going to tie this into one more because I'm ranting and I'm fucking fired up.
Go for it, yeah.
All right. Someone also said to me on Monday's Live when I was talking about the burnout car, and their comment was, Carly, you drove past that car like everyone else did. Who do you think you are? Or, take yourself off your soapbox. Yeah. To which I clap back, and this is how you win. Just like I showed that girl in Buenos Aires, you got to clap back at these people because I put it back to them and said, actually, I'm the one that pulled over, got out, took my phone, got video, did stories to my Instagram, took photos, then spent 3 to 4 hours creating a reel that then went mega viral, had over 500,000 views, embarrassed the local council, had thousands of comments, and it was gone 48 hours later.
Yeah.
That's what my emotion does.
Yeah.
That's what my passion does.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the tragedy of the Commons mixed up with this kind of the Australian tall poppy syndrome. Everyone drove past it because it's not their problem.
Yeah.
Right. It's also not your problem.
Correct.
But you said, I'll do what I can do. You don't have a flatbed truck. You don't have a recycling facility to take it to. You shouldn't have to pay the money to take it to a scrapper or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But what you can do is stop and take a video and make more people aware of it.
Well, I used my skill sets the best I could to do something. And so when people say, oh, you're too emotional, I'm like, okay, so at what point?
Yeah.
At what point do we start getting passionate?
Yeah.
If passion is my ultimate crime, I'm sorry, you're going to have to live with it because shit like this is going on. And I defend their right to protest and I defend their right to free speech, even though I disagree with their sentiments.
Yeah, sure.
But when we see, and I'm calling it from like a 30,000 foot view, we are going to have a race riot worse than Cronulla. Because now what you're seeing, like I showed you again, the Buenos Aires girl, I showed that for a reason. That's where people are at. Their government has failed them.
Yeah, they've had a
The police aren't doing anything. You just saw.
No, they're too busy.
They're too busy
changes.
talking about trans rights and making colourful crosswalks and making sure you're wearing a rainbow lanyard. I understand that's very important. So if you have denied your citizens and your taxpayers the right to feel safe, they are going to take matters into their own hands. And again, we talk about castle law. We talk about having pepper spray. We talk about being unarmed because we had to hand all the guns back after Port Arthur. What is going to happen is you're going to create citizens who are doing civil disobedience or actually committing crimes because they're arming themselves because that's against the law, and they're going to start taking matters into their own hands. And you're going to see some bodies wash up.
Well, case in point, let's talk about a body that's washed up. Now, let me just go back. I'm going to correct one thing that you said there. I don't believe that Cronulla was a genuine race riot. It was made to be a race riot in the media, but it actually genuinely was a reaction to violence.
Yes.
Now, that violence was coming from a particular racial group. It is a very, very similar situation to what we're seeing now with South Sudanese, where the vast majority of South Sudanese are not violent.
Yeah.
And yet the vast majority of our violent crimes are being committed by South Sudanese. Both of those things can be true at the same time. And because the authorities weren't doing anything about the troublemakers, not about the race, the group, no, just we just want you to deal with the troublemakers. That's all we're asking you to do. And they failed to do that up in Cronulla, and it escalated through an assault on a lifeguard, and then it became a confrontation on the beach, and the media turned it into a race riot. So the exact same progression is happening here. Your point stands. Your point is absolutely correct. We are heading in exactly that same direction. This reaction is building, and it is going to be portrayed once again by the media as a race riot, and then the NSN are going to jump on that and say, thank you very much for another recruiting opportunity.
Before you go over to that, I just want to drop one thing, because we can see, I just wanted to bring this up because we don't really need to go into it, but this is the court case between Hannah Maguire's killer. So he was 23, Lachlan Young, Young murdered her, made it look like a suicide, sent all these text messages after she was dead, transferred money to make it look like she was still alive, and then hid her body in her car, and set it on fire, right? That happened 2 years ago. He's just been jailed for 28 years. He's eligible for parole after 22. So our courts are capable of sending people to jail. Yeah. But can I point out the very obvious distinction of why he got 28 years?
Well, I mean, yeah, if you want to go to prison for wrongthink, you can point that out.
Do I need to say it?
Well, I mean, there are people listening, so, it's a bit hard for them to see the picture that you're pointing at.
He's white.
I thought it was his haircut. I thought that was where you were going.
That haircut in itself is a crime.
That is a crime.
But 23-year-old murdered a woman and rightfully jail for 28 years.
Yep,
to be fair, he should be in there for life if it was my rules. Sure. But 28 years is pretty good. We can jail people and we can give them proper sentences, but just not when they're from a protected class.
Yeah. And I would say something like his case is one where the death penalty should be brought back into play. And I'm not saying it should be applied in his case. I don't know the ins and outs.
Just put the fear of God in him.
Well, but a situation where someone has actually gone through to that much trouble to cover it up and all that, like the level of premeditation, the level of malicious intent. This wasn't a moment of passion that he then regretted. This was like...
the disrespect of after she was dead, I'm not trying to defend him in any way, but I understand, he snapped, fit of rage, strangled her body, and then all of a sudden came back and went, oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah,
it was callousness because he burned her body.
Correct,
right?
Yeah. Okay, so we've had a situation. So this was sent to me by a friend up where I live in the Riverina, and it's an article in the Border Mail. Quote, I've had enough, I'm going to shoot him. Man made threats before being gunned down. So follow me here. Now, what I'm reading here is from a Facebook group where they're quoting the article, and we need to understand everything here is alleged.
Yeah.
This is before the court, or it's not even before the courts yet. Charges may yet be laid. I will try and read out the facts here without any editorializing. And understand this is at this point has to be understood to be hearsay. These are eyewitness accounts that I believe to be true, but I'm sure more truth is going to come out.
I've got the article for you guys here if you want to see it.
A drunk and agitated Beechworth resident was overheard in the town's supermarket threatening to shoot another man just minutes before being killed. We're coming, Paul Flegel said in a threatening voicemail left for Barry Butler. So the coroner is now investigating because Flegel, the guy who said we're coming, was then found dead shortly afterwards. Flegel, before he died, fired multiple rounds at Butler, who shot back, hitting a femoral artery in Flegel's leg. Flegel fired a total of 5 rounds, emptying his gun, according to the reports here. Butler retreated through his front door and hid under a car in his shed before calling 000, and Flegel, the aggressor, who had the severed femoral artery, attempted to get back into his Kia but collapsed and died from blood loss. This is interesting to me. Emergency services were unable to enter the property until about 10:30 p.m. with heavily armed critical incident response team officers called to the scene. In other words, hold your horses, everybody. We're just going to wait for the CERT team to come up from Melbourne. They're probably on a helicopter or they might be driving or something. The police aren't coming to help you until such time as these other dudes arrive. You're
Too bad if you die in the meantime.
And so all it would take, for example, in that the other story that we covered there with the guys with the sawn-off shotgun, if they'd gone into a property and started shooting people, what are they going to wait for the critical incident response team then as well? You know, the cops are all going, oh, hang on, there's a dead, he got shot, we can't. You know, like the police are only minutes away when seconds count, but even then they're going to stand at the borderline of the property and be like, no, we've got to wait for the other guys.
Yeah.
We've got body armor and guns, but it's not the body armor.
This is a
guns,
jurisdiction issue.
Gosh. Anyway, so the guy who was making the threats was found dead. He had a blood alcohol reading of 0.17, according to these reports.
I don't understand. Is that high?
So 0.05 is the point at which you're supposed to stop driving. Yeah. 0.1 is getting pretty serious.
So that's 10% of your blood is alcohol.
No. So 0.1. So it's 0.1%. So it's like it's a tiny proportion. You don't need much alcohol in your blood, and it really, really affects you. So no, that's a lot.
You can tell I don't drink booze.
And he said, so the acting sergeant Brendan Stack of the homicide squad told the coroner the shooting case was still open, but active inquiries weren't being made. In other words, they think they know what's happened. That could change if further information comes to light, but no charges have been pressed against Butler over Flegel's death. Now, this is going to get really interesting because he's used a firearm in his own self-defense. The question under our current laws has to be asked, was that stored correctly? How did he get it so fast? Blah, 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 blah. Now, if he's already been shot at, then he's gone and gotten his gun out of its safe, put the firing pin in, got the ammunition out of a separate locker and put that in and used that in self-defense. Under current laws, that is as long as he was still under direct threat and still being shot at, that probably would count as legitimate. Anything less than that starts to get really questionable. Oh, the rifle wasn't in the safe. Why not? Oh, I was cleaning it. Oh, that's convenient. How often are you cleaning your rifle? Are you just perpetually cleaning your rifle? Is it just always on the dining room table, right? You start to run into all of these issues. Oh, you're cleaning your rifle. Where was the ammunition? Was that properly locked away? Because if that wasn't locked away, even though you were cleaning your rifle, that's still an offence. So they've kind of got you 5 ways to Sunday the moment you use a firearm in self-defense. This could turn out to be a situation where they actually can't lay charges because maybe all of that did happen. And it was a gun that was being 5 rounds were fired at him. Over what time period? I don't know. Okay, but let's say there was 2 or 3 minutes in between. One shot was fired, the guy ran off and went and got his gun, and then more shots were fired at him after he got his gun, and then he fired in return. Well, a situation like that could be completely justified. But many other scenarios would be regarded as not. And I don't know. I don't know the answers. So this is going to be another one to watch alongside the woman who used pepper spray in the brothel. Like we're now beginning to stack up cases where, and again, Queensland, the guy grabbed the knife to defend himself. Is he going to be charged? Because he didn't know for sure that the other guy had a weapon. Right? So is that proportionate at that point? Like,
and then that calls into question, is there history here? Is there, premeditation?
In the case of this shooting, a reasonable person would conclude there has to be history. He's not leaving threatening voicemail messages without them being known to each other. What is that history? Was it criminal? Were they both drug dealers? Well, like, who knows? I've got no idea. But all of these cases are beginning to stack up, and I cannot help but feel with the push for castle law, and well done to you and to David Limbrick and to others that have supported that in Victoria as well as New South Wales. Up in Queensland, the Katter Party have done a really amazing job with that. There are now beginning to be actual stories, actual events. So New South Wales, Victoria with the brothel, Queensland with that guy with the knife just now. I think there's been a vibe shift.
I think there has.
And I think there's been a vibe shift from the police as well.
Well, do you know what? So I don't know if we talked about this, or maybe we did. I can't remember. We talk about everything else. But so when Jacinta came out last week and promised her, new tough on crime approach.
Right after we get those tough bail laws.
Yeah. And she came out and she read the letter, from a neighbour whose husband was stabbed. And to be fair, right-leaning commentators clipped that and didn't give it context, and it made it sound like it was her husband. And I went to bat with
which is
them.
wrong, to be clear.
And that annoys me because it makes us look bad.
We should not be doing that any more than anyone else should be doing that.
Hold yourself to a higher standard, guys.
Correct,
like that irritated me to no end because that, like they say, the lie gets around the world once before the truth has a chance to put its shoes on. And that's exactly what happened because this guy was arguing with me on a Channel 7 clip. And he's like, no, it was Jacinta's husband. I'm like, it would take literally a second to Google this. You are wrong. Anyway, so she came out reading this letter talking about this man with this husband was stabbed 3 times defending her home. And Jacinta, all care consideration, looks into the camera and says, this is not okay. And it's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah, we figured that out a long time ago.
We have been screaming this for years now. This dates back all the way to 2018, and I actually found a clip of Matthew Guy, then Liberal Party leader, talking about this. And again, it got dismissed. Same with Peter Dutton, it got dismissed. Same with Beckchard, it got dismissed. So this isn't a new thing, but all of a sudden, Labor's gone, hey, we're going to tug on those old heartstrings, and we're going to show you how much we care that you're getting stabbed. And I think the vibe shift that you're referring to has gotten to a point where they know if they don't start to do something, there'll be nothing you can do. This is going to end up like Southside Chicago, where people are running around defending themselves. I know that I'm being hyperbolic, but it will get.
I actually don't think you are.
No?
Where I disagree with you is this thing that I say over and over again, but I say it over and over again because it's true. They don't benefit from fixing problems. They benefit from promising to fix problems. And look at how much cred she got and how much positive press she got for standing up and saying that she was going to do things that she could have done already when she hasn't delivered on the other things she has said that she would do. And yet the promise still worked. Right? And remember, as Democrat cities in the US, and it is mostly Democrat-run cities, descend into lawless chaos, their leaders stand up there doing the same thing. Oh, yes, this is very serious. We're going to we're going to take more guns off the streets. We're going to have more welfare programs for kids. We're going to do this and this and this and this. They never actually fix the problem because the moment they fix the problem, they have no more promises to make.
And they've got nothing to offer. It comes to a point where the average. So again, back onto that comment where I was told I was too emotional in one of our videos.
You big crybaby.
Well,
yeah.
Of all the people who accuse of emotional, though, I'm not that emotional. Anyway, regardless, I don't care. I don't care what people say about me. I care what it means to discouraging other people from having these conversations because the left are nothing but emotion.
Yeah.
They run on feelings. Yeah. Everything that the left is bringing into power and through legislation and new laws is because of feelings. That's how we got here. So you going all stoic and, oh, no, I don't react to things. I'm very highbrow and I talk with deep consideration because I'm... Cool, that's great. They're not listening.
No.
They don't care. No. You can sit there in your ivory tower and act all like, oh, no, this is how we debate.
Yes.
But we're dealing with people...
Out in the real world, people are getting stabbed.
Yeah, 100%.
Homes are getting invaded.
And I'm sorry if my emotion or my passion bothers you, but... At what point do we realize that we're on our own here? I really do believe that. And I said this to G, like after our home invasion, like I said before, we got off pretty good. We didn't see a weapon. They didn't wake us up. They came in, they got the keys, they stole the car, they pissed off. Lucky in that sense, not lucky for what happened. But every day since, I am now like, if I had to do something again, where's a weapon or something I could use to defend myself? And I keep hearing this, and this is just my thought process. We now hide our keys. I don't want my car stolen. I don't want them to write my Jeep off. I know I can get a new one. I don't want that to happen. So I hide my keys, and they're all saying, like, leave your keys in a place so that they can steal it. Yeah. That infuriates me. That's a whole other topic. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, so if they come into the house and I'm in bed, what's available to me in my bedroom? And why am I thinking like this?
Yeah, correct. So this is one of the great upsides of being an alcoholic. There's always empty bottles of wine, and they're really quite effective. No, so have a think about. So there are these pouches you can get that are like signal blocking pouches, and you can put your phone in them, and then it won't ding, it won't whatever. But they're also really useful for keys because one of the things that can happen is if they physically enter your car and they plug into the OBD port and your keys are within kind of pinging distance of the car, that's actually one of the ways that they will then override and get into your car, and they can actually steal it without the keys as well. Now that's a more sophisticated thing than just stealing keys, but nevertheless that's what's happening up my way a little bit. Is there's a ring that do that.
I know they're doing it with all the Holdens. Yeah. And the Toyota, is it the Land Cruisers?
Audis are quite susceptible. Yeah. Like there's a lot of brands that are quite susceptible to this. So I would consider doing that. But I mean, they're kind of not wrong. Like if they enter your home, they will keep going until they find the keys. It's like when a cop pulls you over with the hope of canarying your car. They'll keep looking until they find something. So guys that modify their cars will make sure one of the globes is loose in an indicator. Aha, I found something. You're on road with it. And they don't keep looking after that point, right? They're in there to find a thing. And once they find the thing, they piss off. Yeah. So there is kind of logic in that. It's a perverse kind of logic. It shouldn't be that way, but there is logic to it. But in places like South Africa, it's gotten to the point now where they will leave those things near the front door and then they have internal gates within the home. Yeah. So even within their home, they can then lock another layer of security and basically throw to these dogs whatever it is that's going to get them to piss off.
I wanted to show you this one because we've been talking about Jacinta. And Victoria really is ground zero for all this violent crime. But this Tim Richardson bloke, I brought him up a few times. If Cuck was a person, can I just show you? I need to show you his face. If Cuck was a person, it would be Tim Richardson. This guy is vying for a top position in her cabinet like no one else.
No comment.
He is literally propaganda machine.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's come out and in his response to one of Jacinta's posts, "This is leadership. Thank you, Premier. Preventing at-risk young people from committing crime with early intervention programs and mentoring, and tough consequences for those who commit violent offences with adult crime for violent crime." Adult crime for violent crime?
Yeah,
adult time?
He can't even say it right.
Yeah. Sorry. I sound like an idiot. But
you read what he said. Yeah.
I was like, no, that's not me. That was me reading. Anyway, so Jacinta, of course, she's come out saying violence is preventable, not inevitable. It is. Do you know how it's preventable, Jacinta? If you take them off the street.
Yeah.
That's how you prevent it. If you actually take all the bad ones and put them in jail.
And people say, oh, but that's just violence in return. Well, hang on. This comes back to the question that I ask: who needs to stop being violent in order for the violence to stop?
Yeah.
See, we as the victims of crime could be completely passive. The violence will continue.
Yeah.
When they stop being violent, the violence will stop.
Yeah.
And so therefore violence in order to stop their violence is actually justified.
I am going to invoke the bingo card
Ooh.
And talk about my mate Niab.
Drink.
You knew it was coming. I've said this 100 times, and I will die on this hill. I understand that you definitely need youth outreach programs.
Yep.
You need to connect with the at-risk young people. I get all that, and I'm not disagreeing.
This is why I agree with child labour.
Yeah.
It's like, just keep them busy, you know?
Well, I mean, I've given my answer. I think it's really obvious, and we've said, like, there are programs that do it to an extent, but clearly not well enough, and clearly not enough to discourage this behaviour.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, when I look at this, it just shows me how out of touch these politicians are, and also, firstly, these people who are giving the government grants, because they have a bleeding heart. And I applaud that you care, and I understand that you're in a position that is very difficult, and there's lots of nuance to it. But throwing money at this program so that you can send, you saw the latest, the kids that could go up to Gold Coast?
Yeah, going up to the theme parks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what that does?
That's a hard life.
That pisses in the face of every single person who's had a home invasion or had their car stolen, or like me, I lost $20,000 or so worth of my camera gear that was uninsured. So don't worry, it can't be insurance fraud because I didn't have insurance. I love just throwing that in just to really, dismantle the narratives. But, so they've been naughty boys. Well, let's give them a holiday so we can show them what's up.
Let's reward them.
Niab had the right approach, and people keep calling him out as like it's a concentration camp and, it's a human rights abuse. And he stands by it, and I applaud his conviction.
Yeah.
Because it would make sense that if you're trying to clean up your country from being the homicide capital of the world, you are unfortunately going to net a couple of good ones. But if your argument is that in order to not accidentally jail some people, we need to let the bad ones get away to keep murdering, I know you and I have had this argument.
Yeah.
I would argue, at what point does that number start to outweigh that idea, right? Oh,
Did you just hit your...
went to sleep, sorry. He went to sleep. It was
it's a
bored.
Mac, it needed a nap.
So when you look at that, I'm like, okay, so I understand what you're saying from a point of, okay, you don't want the innocent people to get caught up in it and then go into prison and not have trial. I do understand that. But what is the cutoff point to, okay, so we're not going to jail everyone in a blanket raid or whatever.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, countless more people die. What is the cutoff point for how many civilians die whilst you try to figure out which one's the bad crime guy?
So forget the cutoff point. Step one is arm the victims.
I agree.
Make it a two-way shooting
but
match.
But that's never going to be possible in Australia.
But in El Salvador, he could have taken that step. I actually agree with what he's doing in terms of what goes on inside the prisons.
Yeah.
Prison should be a deeply unpleasant place.
100%.
And this idea, this Swedish idea of, it's rehabilitation, blah, blah, blah. No, you're literally making people more comfortable in prison.
They want to be in prison.
Yeah, correct.
It's a better life than they had on the outside.
Correct. And oftentimes they're safer because they're now surrounded by all the people that should be in prison, but are actually still back out on the streets. And that's what they go back out to. So we've created a situation where, being in prison is desirable. You get more of what you reward. This is a universal truth. You get more of what you reward. If you make prisons comfortable and you take them to Disneyland or whatever it is up on the Gold Coast, then you are going to get more of that kind of behavior. Prison should be a deeply unpleasant, frankly, a deeply traumatic place to be. Not because they're being sexually abused and whatever. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. But because they are working... No. Even against people that you don't like? No.
I'm just saying, like the Buenos Aires chick.
But hard labor, from dawn till dusk, being, literally just working to survive. And if you step out of line, you cop a rifle butt to the gut. Like martial law, harsh physical punishment. That should be your life.
Yeah.
And you should be gagging to get out of there. And then when you finally get out, swearing on your mother's grave that you will never do anything that could put you back inside. Right?
Yeah.
That's what the experience should be. And Niab has got that right.
Yeah.
Where I disagree with him, and I do understand your argument about how bad the situation was. No one should be in prison unless they are actually on trial and being remanded in custody or have been found guilty of very serious crimes. Now, to your point, it's sort of, there's so many of these people. It is so far out of hand. If you sit there and go through them one by one, then there's no hope. Well, I'm going to come back to you with your argument. That's not the situation in Australia, right? Now, that was Niab's situation. We can debate that all day long. But in terms of bringing it back to something more practical, what is Australia's situation? Well, we saw the Victoria Police come out. How many was it? 610 people with that press conference we talked about 2 weeks ago or something, where the police commissioner, I think it was, came out and said, we know who these people are. There's 610 or whatever.
Oh, no, it was 610 that are out on bail.
Yeah, they're out on bail.
But it's 1,800 repeat offenders.
Okay, yeah. And we know their names. We know where they live. Okay, so we don't need to go through and just round up everybody.
No.
We just need to go through and go, okay, these are the people that we know have been involved in these crimes, and we can, and these are the people that we need to find room for in our.
But we wait until the point where they actually. So this is sort of diluting your argument, but it's the same thing in my theory. We talk about DV in Australia, and we love to virtue signal about DV, and I agree that it's terrible, and we need to do something. But I'll give you an example. There was recently a story, I think it happened last year, of that guy who was overly pumped up on steroids, and he killed his girlfriend. Now, he was known to police. She had an AVO. She'd done all the right things, and he still killed her.
Yeah.
So this is what this bleeding heart approach does. We can rebuild, we can fix them, but you can't. Some people are just evil. Some people are too far gone. And if they had done the right thing, the prevention was put that motherfucker in jail and she'd still be here. But because of these people who keep arguing, but, then people die. We can't get her back. She lost her life because the police, the government, whoever, kept letting him get back out on bail.
So the other potential prevention is allow potential victims of crime to have the means of their own self-defense.
Yeah.
Right? I would much rather a situation like what I just read out before, where the drunk guy making threats to kill ends up bleeding out from his femoral artery, than a situation like what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And people say, I wouldn't want to carry a gun, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be surrounded by people carrying guns. This isn't about you.
Yeah.
Right? You're one person out of millions. Let the people that want to carry, and let us create together, because the person that's carrying, the law-abiding person that's carrying next to you is also helping to keep you safe. They're doing you a favor as well as themselves.
I just wanted to bring this up so people don't think I'm making shit up. So this was a story. Monique Lezak was stabbed to death by her bodybuilder boyfriend under police guard in hospital. He's under police guard in hospital. She had 2 young twin boys, a boy and a girl. Anyway, he had sent her messages. He was stalking her. Mm-hmm. He was making her life a living hell. And he said to her, "Don't forget you're going to die." The threat was real and nothing was done. Mm-hmm. All right, so all this bureaucracy, all the paperwork, all of the paper pushing that needs to be done, this guy still killed her.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when we're soft on crime. This is what happens when we have all these extra checks and balances. I'm not saying that we don't need checks and balances, but if this man was a real threat, it wasn't a perceived threat, he was a real threat, he should have been off the streets. Have your trial, but go into jail, because her life was truly at risk and she died anyway.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a situation where, again, I would say clearly premeditated. This guy had plenty of opportunities to recognise that he'd gone off the rails and get himself some help, what have you. He's gone and murdered someone, not in cold blood necessarily, but certainly without any kind of justification of self-defence or anything that might mitigate that. Eligible for the death penalty. Let's bring that back to the point.
Look at this piece of shit. Look at this piece of shit.
Yep.
Masculinity.
See, I would love to see a nice group of 3 little bullet holes right through his chest, put there by his now dead girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or ex or whatever she was, as he approached the door. I would much rather see that happen than what's happening at the moment.
And not to sort of jump all over points again, but, when you see Abby or these feminists coming up and talking about all men are violent perpetrators and men are evil and toxic masculinity, to a degree, they have a point to be that hyperbolic, because there is a degree of DV and unchecked, evil, nasty males who are getting away with it. So, and it's the same argument I have for them. I'm not saying I agree with their points, but I see why they arrive there. And I see why the NSN arrives at where they're at. It's because our government is sitting on the fence on some issues and going hard in others. So I've got to...
But hang on, before you go there, it's also, though, because they take a small number of examples and then paint with a very broad brush using those examples. Let me make a counterpoint. I got an email. I get a lot of emails, and unfortunately at this point I don't even get to read most of them, but I read one this morning that came through. I haven't responded to it yet, but a young man told me his story of basically having been in an abusive relationship, and he told his then girlfriend, "It's over. I'm leaving. Tomorrow morning I'm packing my stuff and I'm gone." During the night, 6 police officers raid his home, arrest him, put him under police guard in hospital. Regional area, small hospital. Apparently, they didn't put up any of the curtains or screens. They left him kind of on display so that everyone would see him there. Took his guns. He was a registered gun owner, so they took his guns, took his safe, took all of that stuff. Then, and basically he's the devil, right? He's that's the presumption, right? And he was swatted by his soon-to-be ex, essentially, right? All she has to do is make a phone call, say some things. No one ever verifies. No one ever checks.
Yeah.
His life gets torn apart. Now, what's happened since then is all charges have been dropped. The restraining order has been dropped. The psychological evaluation came back completely clean. His guns have now been returned to him or are being returned to him. I don't recall that part of the email. Basically, when they actually slowed down and took a fucking breath, they went, hang on.
Yeah.
We've just been used as a weapon.
Yeah.
And if that guy had reacted to his door being kicked in or to the all of a sudden there's a bunch of people in his home, he could end up dead.
Yeah.
Right. And the police would say, "Oh, justified shooting. We were on the hunt of a hardened DV abuser threatening to kill his wife. Blah blah blah." Right. And so we have this genuine problem. You're not wrong. Assholes like the one you showed before, right? This is masculinity, big bodybuilding, testosterone, roid rage, murdering his girlfriend.
Yeah.
That's real, tragically.
And that's why,
but also the psychopathic woman
that
weaponizes the state against her completely innocent boyfriend is real.
You're kind of proving my point, though, because I believe the response that the police had for a potential DV is accurate, but... Because if it were that bloke, the bodybuilder, then it was the right reaction. However, the issue with women who are making these fake allegations, we talked about this the other day with the footballer, they also, if it's been proven that they're wrong or they're lied or there's some kind of malice there, they should be jailed for that.
But what you're missing in that argument is that in the context of the man who's falsely accused, the process is the punishment.
Oh,
and
no, I
go
agree.
Through all of that first.
I agree.
I think if we actually just allowed victims and potential victims to arm themselves, then we wouldn't have to have the police on a hair trigger. We wouldn't have to have the police coming in with 6 dudes with guns if we actually just let women arm themselves, and everybody, but women included, arm themselves so that they're not completely defenseless.
I agree with you, but the problem is the real world will never allow that. Australia will never allow it.
Not with that attitude, it won't.
Well, I mean, I'm fighting for it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, how much worse does it have to get before we get to that point? Sadly, I think it has to get quite a lot worse.
Well, I said this on Monday.
But I do believe we can get to the point where it is so bad that people go, this just is not working and we need to find the nuclear option.
The thing that really frustrates me is we have enough evidence around the world to see what happens.
Yeah.
Look what's happening in Sweden. There's no-go zones in what was a very ethno-nationalist country up until a few years ago.
Yeah.
Now it's overrun with migrants who have their own no-go zones. And rape is through the roof. We're seeing it in London with Pakistani rape gangs. We're seeing it in South Africa. Do you remember the rape crisis of South Africa?
Yeah.
That hasn't gone. That's still a thing. And we've talked about South Africa heaps of times. So we have more than enough evidence across the globe to go, hey, we keep going down this road, things are going to end up here. But it doesn't matter. And when you say how much worse does it have to get, it doesn't matter anymore because it's going to get there. And then we'll react to it. Australians need to learn the hard way. It's the same with socialism. No amount of you and I arguing about logic, reason, or approaching things with critical thinking is relevant because these people are like, oh, well, I don't believe that.
Okay, but I guess part of the point that I'm trying to make though with this vibe shift is we've seen the woman use pepper spray, hasn't been charged. All right. We've watched attitudes shifting in the media responses to the police and to crimes and to victims of crime. It's going to be very interesting to watch what happens from this shooting that I was just talking about before, from that guy in Queensland that you brought up. Used a knife, took a knife with him when it was not necessarily justified in the sense that he wasn't certain that the person.
Do Queensland have the same laws we do with knives? With
knives, I don't know specifically, but in terms of self-defense, I believe that's pretty universal around Australia. Is this
We're
idea
not allowed to carry knives.
the idea of proportionality, right? You go and get a knife before you know that the other person has a knife. You're the one who escalated, right?
I did not know that. I think I said that on the podcast. I did not know that you could not carry a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous.
I had no idea that was a law.
That happened when I was in my late teens, I think, in Victoria, and I used to have a Leatherman with me all the time because I used to help out with a lot of different sort of gigs and do technical stuff, audio engineering and so forth. And I just always had a Leatherman with me all the time. And then all of a sudden that's illegal, ridiculous. So I'm observing the vibe shift. It's not going to be anywhere near enough, but I'm hopeful that as the crime situation escalates, as the police become so much more obviously incapable of dealing with this, and as the government becomes so much more unwilling, I think we might get to the point where the rage drives people to say, hey, we are going to start arming ourselves even if you say no.
Yeah, I think so. And that kind of resistance matters when you have, it only matters when there's volume. Correct. So it can't just be like, these little situations where it was the Gotham City sex work of the receptionist and this guy in the paper that you were talking about. It needs to be often.
But also, when those people then do get charged, the rest of us need to rally around them. Yeah. Because lots of people might have armed themselves, but only a few actually get attacked. So there's only a few instances at any one moment in time that's hitting the courts, and the rest of us need to get around. Same as what's happening with the VNI, the power lines and stuff in country Victoria, not to go onto a whole new topic. But farmers are rallying around each other. When these guys show up to walk onto one person's farm, it's not the people from that farm that come to the fence and say, nah, bugger off. Yeah. It's all the farms in the area coming together. And I'm preparing a story on that at the moment. But yes, that touch one, touch all kind of mentality, the union mentality, is absolutely valid when it comes to civil disobedience. And as I've said many, many times before, the limit of government power is defined by the limit of our obedience. So the question is, when are people going to reach the limit of their obedience?
Can I do a tangent?
Tangent time, tangent time, tangent time, tangent time. Whee! You just said we to make it switch over to you so that your little fingers wouldn't be in vain.
It's always you, all the time.
Because I'm the one singing. I'm the one with the golden vocal cords.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm the one with the song on Spotify, bro. Who's the real rock star? What's that? Yeah, this girl. I want it to go platinum just so I can say I'm a platinum selling.
Please do not make that happen, Oddies. I am begging you. The degree of smug that I would be suffocating in this room if she had a platinum record.
I am a multidisciplinary artist who's just dominating all of the industries.
Moving on, what's the tangent?
I have to remember what the tangent was.
I already hate it.
No, that's my tangent. Okay, sorry. So I talked about AI before. And I'm optimistic about AI for a few reasons. One, about productivity. I think that's great. Yeah. But what I've learned, and I've witnessed this in a few people. I was watching G last night, and G prefers Grok. That's his AI of choice. Sure. And G is a nerd, as most of you guys watching this podcast, I've since found out, are nerds. And he was having a full-blown, in-depth conversation with Grok about some real, in-depth things. And I'm not going to, blow G's cover, or what he's looking at. But I was asking him, what are you asking Grok? And he's like, we're talking about this and talking about this. And he often asks Grok about rockets and quantum theory and all sorts of things that I don't know. I mean, half the things that G's into, I'm like, huh? Yeah. Anyway. And I was like, this is AI. This is one step above. We've had Google in our pocket for 20 years. Yeah. And we've seen what happens when people just have TikTok and Instagram. And that was without access to AI. And we produce TikTok slop. We've produced influencer bullshit and whatever. Yeah. That was our own volition. Yeah. Now we have AI. And I've talked about how AI is democratizing a lot of things that were previously gatekept to us. Yeah. And I could not be more excited because we've talked before about meritocracy and seeing people who deserve to be given those positions, and how much we detest ESG and DEI. Yeah. And I was thinking this last night, watching G do it, and I know I do it, and now I'm about to teach, 150 or so far, but please sign up if you're interested. I'm about to watch all these people learn how to actually use it for yourself, how to benefit from it. Yeah. And I couldn't help but think, oh my God, this is it. I've been talking about a revolution for ages. And when we first started this podcast, I told you that Pluto was in Aquarius. Yeah. And you rolled your eyes and you were
My eyes are still pointing backwards. I rolled
I know.
So hard.
That explains why you look the way you do.
Yeah.
Anyway, for those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's an astrology thing. Whether you believe it or you don't, take it with a grain of salt. But the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the Russian and French revolutions, that time period, because it goes for 25 years. And it was with this massive time of uprising. Do you know what else coincided with all that? The printing press and access to books. Mm-hmm. Books became affordable. So prior to that time, books were sort of gate-kept to... I was going to
say the printing press existed well before that.
It did, but it became democratized to a point where books were more affordable. Okay. So your peasants, your working class.
People like you.
People like me. We
Yeah.
got access to things, not just the Bible, like actual books. And so that came with the industrial.
Actual books, she says, dismissing the best-selling book of all time.
No,
Sure,
no.
yeah.
I meant like things outside of that, outside of religion. I wasn't trying to insult anyone. Sorry.
Well, you succeeded. So,
I apologize. So that all coincided at the same time. And I'm like, hang on a minute. Here we are almost 200 years later going through arguably similar kind of things. We saw the Declaration of Independence. We saw the toppling of the monarchy in France. And it's rewired the whole world. And it's because the underclass, for lack of a better description, started to also become a little bit more educated.
Right.
AI is doing the same thing right now for the people who are interested in using that way.
Sure.
We've talked about this before. People are going to use AI for porn and military.
Yeah.
We know that.
And some people read books to educate themselves, and others read books to titillate themselves.
100%.
It's the same thing.
That's human behavior, always going to be that way. But now you're going to see a bunch of people who previously, and I'm not trying to insult anyone, so please don't think this is what I'm saying, but maybe were never called to go to university. I'm not saying university is the only way, but for most people, university is increasing knowledge and opening you to things that maybe you wouldn't have previously explored, and it pushes you. For some people, if they don't have that push behind them, there's no reason to learn more than what they currently know.
Yeah.
Their learning stopped in high school.
Sure.
They're not, and not everyone, but there's a vast majority of people like, oh, no, I can't be bothered reading, or I don't care. I don't, they become sort of like encased in their little bubbles, which is fine.
Sure.
But now you've got AI. So people who are genuinely curious to learn things that are objectively difficult that you would have to read, dense research papers or books that maybe you don't understand the language of, can now ask AI to explain it in a manner that's easily digestible to help you understand. And I honestly, I'm calling this my premonition. I would argue that AI is the best thing for us to be able to have our revolution against the WEF, the global elite, the deep state, putting that in everyone's pocket. And yes, of course, there's people using it for nefarious means. That's always going to be there. But imagine now, you who's curious can now have conversations with an AI bot in a way that's no different to you having a conversation with me or Topher right now and learn this. Previously, you had to read dense books.
Yeah. And if you could even get a hold of them, in the age, we forget that before the age of the internet, even finding out where to find the information was almost impossible.
Remember
for a lot of
encyclopedias? You used to get a paragraph. That was it.
You would have, like, the rich people would have all the books lined up on the shelf, and they'd be all pretty. And as soon as I bought them, they were already going out of date. In fact, they were already going out of date before they even
you had to
bought
get the
them,
Britannica every year.
You had to. I mean, that was the really rich people. And then you buy their second-hand Britannica off them, 2 years later.
My favourite thing, sorry to interrupt, is going into...
No, you're not. You're not sorry.
I'm not sorry.
You're never sorry to interrupt.
Never. Because you interrupt me all the time.
You interrupt gleefully and with a twinkle in your eye.
Yes, because you always interrupt me. Anyway, what's good for you is good for me.
I don't interrupt you.
Ever.
Ever.
Never.
Keep talking. You know where I'm going.
Yeah,
with
I
this.
know exactly what you're going to do.
Fine. Truce.
When you go to like antique shops or, mill markets or all those kinds of things, my favorite thing is to pick up an old Encyclopedia Britannica from like, I don't know, I try and go ones like that predate my lifetime. I try to go back to like, 1940s.
All the way back to the 1200s.
Yeah. The oldest, I've got one in my bookshelf. The oldest I've found was 1817, and I only managed to get the T to the Y, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's that bit. But you open it up, and there's countries that don't exist.
Oh, yeah.
There's things that haven't been invented. It's fascinating. It's my favorite thing to look at. I'm like, wow, they didn't even know about this. Ha.
Now, was this the tangent?
The AI was the tangent,
Okay,
but
all
this
right.
is a sub-tangent in a tangent.
Okay, we're into tangentception.
Yeah.
Tanception. There's a T-shirt in that.
Tanception.
There's got to be
It's like what you did the other day when you kept bringing up the YouTube and it kept going a new window, new window.
Yes.
Tanception. Yeah.
But like, there's got to be an Oddcast T-shirt in Tanception.
Speaking of which, because you brought it up, I am wearing an Oddcast. You can't see.
Woo!
Hang on.
Hang on. Wait, let's go there. There we go.
I'm wearing an Oddcast hoodie.
Where we're going, we don't need plans.
And the reason I thought I'd wear it today is we are discontinuing it just for now.
Temporarily.
Because we are moving to our own production and we can't do them all at the same time.
Yep.
So if you want a Oddie shirt or hoodie, grab it now because December they're gone for now.
Goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. You'll find all my stuff and you'll find all the Oddcast stuff.
Yeah.
Most of my stuff's being discontinued forever. Some of it will come back.
We've had a refresh.
The idea will come back in a different design, so that design won't come back. the Oddcast stuff will be temporarily discontinued and will probably come back as the same designs because we haven't had them out for long and they're awesome.
Yeah.
So we'll probably bring the same designs back, but probably not until like April, May, June next year.
See
so
what
if you
happens.
want them, get them.
Quick question also that you guys can answer because I'll be reading these comments. Like, we're making everything black for now, but would you like, pardon me, colourful merch? Like, would you like a white T-shirt, a blue T-shirt, a red T-shirt? Let me know.
Well, we do pink, Good People Break Bad Laws in pink in a ladies' cut, which will be being discontinued. That is one that will be being discontinued at the end of November. So if you want the pink one, get it now. But in time, I hope it's a volume thing, and you know this better than I do. You ran an apparel company for 10 years. It's a volume thing. You have to minimize the amount of stock you get stuck with at the end. You have to minimize the range of product lines you have in stock at any one point in time because there's just physical constraints on the area that you have to work with, the budget that you have to work with, every new design. If it requires any change to the print itself, then when it's another run essentially as far as the manufacturers are concerned. And it just we've just dropped tens of thousands of dollars on merch, and I'm not going to pretend I'm not a little bit nervous about it. And that's,
you guys better buy them, otherwise I'm in big trouble.
And that's not a massively wide range. Like we've got a pretty restricted range, and I've had to drop.
Doesn't
I think
go far.
all up, I've had to drop about $25,000.
Yeah, and there's all the little bits and pieces that people don't think about: swing tags, neck tags, packaging.
I mean, shipping's an obvious one, but man, that gets you.
Yeah, the shipping was interesting. Like, shipping's always been a problem because I've never been in a position to be able to put things on boats.
Yeah.
I've always had to air freight.
That's the other thing. Time is money. If I had $100,000, I could move things more, to stock up more here and then have things arrive more slowly. No problem.
Yeah.
But I've only got a very limited amount of money.
Yeah.
And it's therefore we've got to keep it moving
What's
fast.
that thing you say about being poor is like there's a tax?
The poor tax, the poverty trap.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, life is expensive.
Yeah, buying power and things like that.
Yeah.
So not to bore you guys.
Economies of scale. Yeah.
But that's why I get like, I don't want to say defensive. I'm not defensive, but I love speaking up for small business because people are always like, oh, you're lining your pockets, you're ripping people off. And I know not you guys watching this, for the record, you guys are all awesome and you're capitalists like us. But, whenever I'm looking at Gen Z commentary, ABC, progressive left, any small business owner is immediately like a millionaire that's stealing from people.
Yeah, 100%. Now, let me go across to friend of the show, Purple Pingers.
Oh, God, yes.
How can we haven't talked about him for a while.
We haven't talked about Purple Pingers.
I feel like we've been letting the team down here.
Do you reckon any of them would ever come on our show?
I doubt it.
I'd love to have a chat to
Purple
him.
Pingers has put up a picture from news.com.au saying that Coles is claiming Victoria's lack of consequences is driving their massive
I was going to bring this one up,
theft. Purple Pingers says one of the companies responsible for exacerbating the cost of living crisis, i.e. Coles and Woolworths, calling on the government to further criminalise and punish one of the symptoms of that cost of living crisis is just another day in a capitalist paradise. Well, I saw red. And I said in reply, cope harder. The supermarkets have profit margins of something like 3%, as I've covered in previous videos. The cost of living crisis is not from price gouging, it's from the cost of government being added on to everything we do, driving up the cost of doing business and therefore prices on the shelf. Capitalism isn't the problem. It's the reason that relatively poor people today eat better than kings did 250 years ago. We have a magical place where food items from all over the planet, in and out of season, are available for a few bucks, fresh, nutritious, and convenient. The logistics and technology behind every item on the shelf is mind-blowing, but selfish, ungrateful, unproductive little shits, i.e. Purple Pingers, get upset because they have to pay a few bucks for the miracle of supermarket food. The modern Coles or Woolies is the stuff of dreams from 100 years ago and pure science fiction 200 years ago, but useless eaters like Purple Pingers think they're a symbol of everything that's wrong with the world.
Yes.
Go fuck yourself, Purple Pingers.
There's so many. I haven't looked at his Instagram for a while because I don't tend to follow these people, but I was just looking at it and it's just full of propaganda. I pity him. I pity someone like this who's so enamored with socialism and honestly truly believes that if they just did it their way, it wouldn't go this bad. And I've got this graphic here. This is, oh, sorry, you probably can't say that. Hang on. Capitalism is a pyramid scheme. This is the rhetoric.
Yeah.
Do you want to unpack this? I feel like we should have a chat about it.
So that's actually the graphic for socialism is exactly the same, but down the bottom, instead of the word capitalism, it's a bunch of human skulls from the people that have died. That's, no, this is the thing. I've seen a real uptick in their rhetoric recently. They've gotten really aggressive, and I think also the X algorithm keeps on realigning itself. And I've just had this flood of like pro climate change, pro socialism pages all pile in. So here's the thing. Capitalism understood correctly, is simply free trade.
Yeah.
It's what happens on a school playground when one kid has a peanut butter sandwich they don't like and another kid has too many lollies that they're sick of.
Yeah.
Right? It's what happens naturally. And government intervention of any kind that interferes with the free trade of people valuing things according to how they value it is automatically damaging. So let me what was it? Oh, that's right. We were having cheese and biscuits, like cheap cheese and biscuits after dinner with the kids because dinner wasn't very big. And so we sort of went, we should give them a bit more food. So we cut up some tasty cheese and we had some biscuits. And
cheese and bickies.
One of my daughters accidentally broke a biscuit in half. And she was only allowed to have biscuits if she also had cheese because she'll sit there and just eat the biscuits. And she's like, there's not enough biscuit for the cheese, right? I want more. Half a biscuit with that amount of cheese. I just want the biscuit. I don't want the cheese, blah, blah, blah. And so we're like, well, you'll have to either eat it yourself or find someone else who wants it. So she then goes on a mission to give away a half a biscuit. And she offers it to me. No, thank you. I do not want a half biscuit that has also, by the way, been partially munged by you. Her older brother didn't want it either. Her mother also did not want it.
Oh, no.
But she was a persistent little girl, and her younger sister enthusiastically accepted the broken munged biscuit. And that was a lesson in capitalism for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because
there's always demand.
Value is entirely subjective. I did not place value on that half-munged biscuit because I had abundant supply in the form of unmunged biscuits sitting on the table right in front of me. However, she ran a delivery service. She took it over to her younger sister.
Even better.
Who went, well, the convenience, I don't care that it's munged. That's not a problem in my view. So we had capitalism at work right there, and having disposed of that half biscuit, she was able to come back and get the thing that she actually wanted, which was a full biscuit with the cheese that she had to have.
Supply and demand, baby.
Supply and demand. Now, this is unfolding all of the time. And the most important thing, the problem that socialists are trying to solve, one is inequality, but actually when you drill down to it, they're trying to solve what they allege to be a lack of information problem. They're saying people make bad decisions. In a capitalist free market society, people make bad decisions because they don't really understand. They don't have all the information. But a government can have all the information. We just send all the government up to a bureaucracy and all of the information up to a bureaucracy. We're going to have all the data and the stats, and someone can sit there and then they'll be able to make the right decisions.
Yes.
Right? Well, this presupposes a number of things. Firstly, that information actually exists.
Yes.
If you don't have prices, where's your information coming from? Right?
Yeah.
Without the ability to value things relative to each other, how do you know what people actually prefer and what people don't? If there's no prices attached, the answer is always yes. Would you like a private jet? Yes. Would you like a private jet for $120 million? No, thanks. Right? So if there's no price attached, the answer is always yes, which means that the information's useless. There is no ability to actually have a conversation, and that's what money is. It's actually us talking to each other about what we prioritize and what we value. In socialism, that conversation's missing. And so all we've got is top-down decisions being made by somebody who doesn't have all the information, because without prices, the information doesn't exist. And therefore, and then they also make one-size-fits-all solutions, rather than, the little sister being able to say, yes, I do value that half a munged biscuit, thank you very much. And other people saying, yeah, you know what, that's really not for me. We have a bureaucrat deciding whether we value munged biscuits or not.
Munged biscuits,
Right?
well, that's about all you'll get
That's
under
about all
socialism.
you'll get.
Yeah.
And so it sounds so nice, and I get why people get fooled by university lecturers, etc. But people tend to mostly grow up.
Yes.
Right. Apart from the ones that become university
Well, the real
lecturers
world
themselves.
sort of shapes you, and someone like Purple Pingers and his socialist little like merry bunch around him. Your Zoham Mandanis and all these kind of people. I've got something on him in a
Peter
second.
Pan.
What I look
They've
at
never had
is,
to grow up.
have you ever been in a position where you've had to have something on the line and had to invest your own hard-earned cash to see a reward and that sort of, return on investment?
Yeah.
Coles and Woolies, people demonize them. We've talked about them a lot.
Yeah.
And same with Amazon, we've talked about them a lot. But a lot of those things that we take for granted, the fact that I can order something on Amazon today and it's at my doorstep tomorrow.
Yeah.
The fact that I can go into Coles and Woolies and buy an avocado all year round.
In season or not.
And know that every time I go there is going to be an abundance of different milks with different labels and 40,000 different cheeses. And I have the option and the privilege to go and choose which one I prefer.
Do I want to buy the farmed salmon or the wild caught salmon today? I'm
Yeah.
just not sure. They're right beside each other on the freaking shelf. This is a miracle.
Yeah.
Like
100%.
how incredible.
How incredible. Like, I was reading a story. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, but I just find this so entertaining. I was reading a story about how kings didn't know what certain things were because they were so hard to get that when the fruit came across, it had expired. So when you think about it, you could be the richest, wealthiest man in the world and still not know what a pomegranate was.
Yeah, correct.
Or never have eaten chocolate.
Yep.
And the fact that now poor people, or those of limited means, whatever you want to call them, now walk into a Coles and Woolies and access that stuff that was unprecedented, over 100 years ago is insane.
Well, we joke about it, and it is a joke, but it's also true. We live in the first time in history where obesity is associated with poverty.
Yes.
That's insane.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but the whole food stamps thing has been such an eye-opener to me. I didn't think it was worth us talking about because it doesn't apply here, but just watching what they buy with their food stamps, I'm like, huh? Anyway.
This is American politics during the shutdown, but let's move on.
So, when you look at Coles and Woolies, I'm like, look, they're making money, they're making billions because they have a supermarket within every 10 kilometre.
The turnover that they're doing.
But you also have to think, they are trying to get food from our primary growers in regional areas that are 4 or 5 hours away by road to metropolitan areas overnight, refrigerated, stored, and then distributed across to hundreds of supermarkets, so that you can rock up there every day, Purple Pingers, and buy your milk and buy your steak, and you probably don't eat steak. And then
buy your soy, whatever, your milk.
Yeah, whatever it is that you're buying. And same with your local cafe, because all these socialist types are the hipster crew that live in Brunswick and all that, and they love to go for their soy lattes. I'm like, how do you think that cafe gets the food that they have?
That's the problem. They don't think.
No, they don't.
You said, how do they think?
They don't.
But so I can speak to this a little bit because I spent 7 years working at a place called Costa Logistics, and we literally did the refrigerated logistics for Coles.
Yeah.
So southern New South Wales, all of Victoria, all of Tassie, and a little bit of South Australia, all of their fresh fruit and veg and their milk came through us.
Yeah.
And so I got a front row seat, and I worked in a range of different jobs up into management as well as. So I started at the bottom as a picker packer. I was a forklift driver. I was in inventory management and daily stock takes. I worked in the dispatch office working with Lynn Fox on the truck side of things, and then I went into shift supervising and managing and rostering for over 200 people every week and all that stuff, right? So I know that business relatively well. 7 years I spent there across a range of different responsibilities. It is one of the most incredible things to have a building that is kept temperature controlled pretty much regardless of what's happening outside. Yes, okay, it is a little bit affected, but it was pretty good. With up to 160,000 units a day, okay? Usually less than 100,000, but on peak days, more than 160,000 units arriving and being sent out.
Yep.
Usually with less than a dozen errors.
Yep.
Usually with less than a dozen boxes of anything going to the wrong place or not being sent or what have you. Often only 2 or 3 errors in a day. Where that thing got picked that morning, arrives in your warehouse by about 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning and has reached a store usually by 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon, right? The only way to make it fresher is to have less distance to travel.
Yeah.
The only way to make it fresher is literally to have the farm next to the shop.
Do they ever use air freight, or is it always road?
Within Australia, it was always road.
Yeah, okay.
And so we had a couple of trucks that would actually go and do it. So the exception is really remote areas.
Yeah.
That they would go and do a 2 or 3 day run. It'd take them a day and a half to get there and do their last drop off, and then a day and a half driving back again.
Yeah. Just on the Coles and Woolies thing, I'm not trying to defend supermarkets. I think there's some questions for sure. There's always questions though.
Yeah.
But pick your battles. When they talk about billionaires, I'm like, the fact that we have billionaires is the reason we've had the innovation we've had.
Yeah.
And you think so Purple Pingers, he would have no idea what's involved with nationwide distribution, let alone refrigerated produce with expiry dates, let alone involving primary producers to know when the seasons are coming in, when the crops are doing their thing, and then they have to go and do that. He would have no idea. All he sees is the end results and goes into the big fancy Coles store and says, oh, your prices are too expensive. What about also, there's a level of the businesses that create the products that go into Coles. Shrinkflation's a thing, sure. But why is shrinkflation a thing? What incentive is there for a company to piss off its customers? I'm going to use dairy milk.
Okay, and then I'm going to have a whinge about butter.
I
have such a big whinge about butter and Woolworths right now.
Is it the USA stuff?
So I don't know, but it's their budget butter. They changed it, and it's horrible.
Oh, okay. I've seen this new thing where there's USA butter in Australian supermarkets.
Okay.
And I'm like,
this might be it.
Yeah. where was I going? Coles Woolies talking about this.
You were going to talk about milk.
Was I?
Before I then said do that, and then I'm going to talk about butter because I was just about to like come in, and then I went,
no, dairy milk. Dairy milk.
She's already called me out for being an interrupter. I better not
Cadbury.
interrupt.
Yeah, you did, and I just lost my train of thought, but I got it.
Dairy milk.
Okay, I say this as a previous dairy milk Cadbury connoisseur.
Okay.
I have eaten my fair share of chocolate.
Okay, we're talking chocolate.
Chocolate.
Right, dairy milk chocolate. That word was missing. Gotcha.
Sorry.
Okay.
When I moved to Australia, was obsessed with those little dairy milk. There was like 2 pieces together, a little wrapper, right?
Yep.
My grandmother used to give it to me. And there was a taste. And I, like, you know when you have these, like a smell or a taste and it takes you back to a certain place?
Sure.
Dairy milk is one of those things. And there was a taste it had that I've never tasted in the last 10 years. I cannot find that taste again. And, you know, you got to remember when I was in Japan, I didn't have access to like Vegemite and things like that.
Sure.
So coming to Australia, having that from my grandmother and just thinking like, wow, this is the yummiest thing ever. And so Dairy Milk and I, we had a thing. And my mum would go and buy a family block. And I think at the time it was around 300 grams or something like that. It was quite big. It was a family block. Yeah. And you had 6 squares across. I remember this because mum would ration it out. And she'd say, you get 3 squares. And she didn't know that I knew where she hid the chocolate. So I would go in, and what I would do, because I was clever, rather than just snap the other 3 off, because she'd know, I would snap the other 3 to make it look like it was going down.
Clever girl.
Yeah. So I actually got double the chocolate. Triple, you could say. Anyway. And I was never found out for such things.
Like that line out of Jurassic Park. Clever girl.
Correct. Yeah. I think my mum just assumed my dad was eating it. Meanwhile, it was me. Anyway.
And that's why my parents got divorced.
But anyway, over the years, like, you know, going to uni and things like that, I used to buy it. I used to, you know, have square here, whatever. I've seen it now. I think it's 4 across or something. It's small. It's definitely way smaller. It's down to like almost 195 grams or something for a family block. And I remember because I used to buy it from the supermarket, it was $3.50 for a family block from the milk bar. Now that same family block with almost 150 grams less is almost $9.
Yeah, sell your kid. Yeah.
And it's so much so, like, and they've changed the taste too. I don't know what they did, and it tastes like shit, and I cannot eat it, and it like leaves a burniness in your throat. Anyway, so yeah, I understand shrinkflation. What was the incentive? Dairy milk was a cornerstone of Australia. It was like glass and a half. It was like one of those cultural things. Why would they ruin it? So this is what I'm trying to argue: is there was an incentive for them to change their recipe, to change their way they process it, and they obviously closed down their plants as well. And I don't know if the Tassie one's still there, but
not sure.
You know, they've changed their manufacturing, they've got shrinkflation, and the price has gone up.
Yeah.
What would incentivize a company to piss its customers off?
Now, the socialists will say, well, this is capitalism. They're just trying to screw everybody over because they just want to make money. All right? So 2 things on that. Firstly, in the case of Coles and Woolies, they're publicly traded and pretty much every single Australian owns at least some of their shares via their superannuation funds. So the owners are us. So when you're looking for the greedy capitalist bastard owners that are destroying these companies for profit, hello, it's all of us.
I dare say Jordan doesn't have super because he's probably never had a job.
Yeah, possibly. Jordan being Purple Ping is his real name for those that don't know. However, the other issue there is that, well, I mean, the real actual problem, the thing that they're responding to, is that the cost of doing business keeps going up, and they're continuously having to figure out how to extract more value out of their product in order to continue to survive.
Yes.
And where the socialists' argument falls over is that all these companies are doing, it's proof they're all greedy, blah, blah, blah. Oh, they just went bankrupt. Well, hang on. You just said to me that they're all screwing us over because they're a bunch of fat cats sitting on silos full of money. But, there's another one that's gone bankrupt. Right? And so how can both of these things be true? How can you have companies that are going under, shareholders are losing all of their value? The company's gone. Share value has gone down to 0. Often they debtors and creditors, and they owe money. People are losing their jobs, all the rest of it, and the socialists will cry about that. Oh, those fat cats, they don't care about workers, blah, blah, blah. No, those fat cats bent over backwards to survive. They used every single trick in the book, and yet it wasn't enough. Right? Now, speaking of every trick in the book, shrinkflation we all kind of know about, prices going up, sizes going down in order to not have to drive the price up by quite as much. But qualityflation is also an issue.
Yes.
And you mentioned that with the taste. So I used to buy the cheapest Woolies salted butter.
Okay.
And it was fine. I would make a hollandaise sauce or something. I'd separate out the butter, and it had all the constituent parts. It worked. It did what butter is supposed to do. Then that one, it was in blue packaging, that disappeared. And then there was this Hilldale one, I think that's what it's called, their sort of home brand.
Yeah.
One that was sitting there, same price basically, as far as I remember, it was the same price, same size. I'm like, okay, well, they've just repackaged their butter. So I bought some, and I keep a bit of a stock of butter because I use a fair bit. And so it took a little while before we started to eat the first of these new blocks. And by then I'd stocked up 2 or 3 of those because I was replacing the other ones as we used them to keep a stockpile.
Yeah.
So now I've got a stockpile. I've got about 2 kilos of this stuff sitting in my fridge. It is horrific. It's as if it's already been separated and all the oils have been taken out of it. It's like, I don't know if they were trying to make it spreadable or something like that, but all of what makes butter buttery and good is gone out of this stuff.
Did you say it's Hillvale?
Hilldale?
I think.
Hillvale, Hillview, I can't remember.
Hillview. Yes, you've touched on it. Okay, so you didn't know this. So I'm pulling this up. Okay. I'm going to tell you why.
Apparently I've been talking about something about
this
something.
This is it, yes?
Yeah.
This is imported US butter. This is not Australian butter.
So it is the American butter. You were right.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is it. So it's massive farmer and consumer backlash for stocking US-made butter packaged in controversial green and gold colours.
Yeah.
This has been a huge scandal.
That stuff is crap.
Yeah.
Do not buy it.
And it's like whiter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's whiter. Yeah. It lacks any of that oily base that good butter should have. And so right next to it on the left of that photograph is the unsalted original Coles butter.
This one here, yeah.
On the very left of that picture that you've got there. And then the blue packaging, same style blue packaging, was the salted Coles butter, which for its price I thought was very passable. I could work with it. I could cook with it. I could do all the things I needed to do. You could fry a steak in it. It had all the lovely oily emulsification. All that stuff was there.
Can I just save you the trouble? This is the only butter you buy.
What's funny is I'm pretty sure that's the one that I did end up buying out of desperation.
That's the only butter you buy. It's grass-fed. It's from New Zealand.
Yep, okay.
It's delicious. And you actually get 400 grams for $8. So it's a bigger stick than the smaller ones.
Well, so I was buying the half kilos, but yes. So I was buying a half kilo for $7. So 400 grams for $8 is not outrageously more expensive. And if it is actually decent butter, then
that is the only butter you buy, friends.
I will pay the extra money.
Unless you're buying it from a farmer or a French person. But
a French person.
Well, French make good butter.
Because the French just walk around with butter in their pockets.
They make good butter.
Do you want to buy some butter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They make good butter. Butter's so easy to make too. It's a bit of a fluff to do it. But it's, I discovered. I think I talked about this on the podcast ages ago. Aldi had like a butter churn.
Have you got G-churning butter as well as stretching your sourdough?
I bought it for fun. I was like, oh, butter churn, that'd be cute. It was like $12 from Aldi.
It is so much work.
And it was. We were going for ages. And so much so that the Aldi like little mechanism was actually like shitty Chinesium.
Yeah.
So it was starting to like
shear itself.
So I had to spray it with some cooking oil to lubricate it. Anyway, made it and it was yummy. And I thought to myself, I have a KitchenAid that was very expensive I got for my birthday. I wonder if this works.
Butter. Yeah.
You can make butter.
Yeah,
who knew?
100%. And then you can separate that butter out and then you can
get
use
buttermilk.
You can use it for buttermilk, but you can use it for different purposes, making sauces and
because we use butter for everything. We don't use any seed oils in this house. We do have olive oil occasionally. We have like the spray, which I know it's got butane in it.
We use proper olive oil and butter.
Yeah, butter only. Yeah. And we use butter for flavour. But so we go through one of those sticks a week.
Yeah.
400 grams a week.
We'll go through probably 2, but we've got a bunch of kids and there's sandwiches for school and all that.
Back on that thing, it's so funny you bring that up because this is a huge scandal on socials. So I'll bring it back up. So this is from Dairy News. So this is from the farmers.
Okay.
A significant controversy has erupted within the Australian market after the major retailer Woolworths began stocking its private label Hillview butter brand with product imported from the United States.
Yeah.
This strategic sourcing decision, recently driven by cost savings due to competitive pricing from US suppliers, immediately ignited fierce criticism from both the Australian Dairy Farmers Organisation and the retail chain's consumer base. This insight highlights the volatile global tension between retail pressure for cost reduction and the critical imperatives of supporting the domestic dairy supply chain. I would agree.
But it's just crap, though. It's a crap product.
Well, it's because they don't run through the same... They have totally different ways of farming in America.
Yeah.
Do you know where those cows are from? Are they grain-fed? Are they grass-fed? Are they battery-farmed?
I presume Planet Earth. I mean, that's kind of the main thing.
I mean, and this is the one time where, like, I kind of side with my vegan friends occasionally, is that when we kill animals, right, like if you kill them in a humane way so that they don't suffer, you're not putting all those stress hormones into the food.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so anti-halal. I think halal meat is just barbarian, but that makes sense from those people, right? Yeah. When it comes to butter from America, we don't know how they're grazing these cattle. I dare say they're not roaming free and eating pasture. They're probably all shoved in some horrible warehouse somewhere.
Grain-fed.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I can't comment on that. And obviously, even within the context of Australia and New Zealand, there's going to be different farmers doing different things. But look, I appreciate a good quality bit of butter.
Even the ABC's talked about it.
Yeah,
so
wow. I missed all of that. I was outraged by the drop in quality, but I missed the whole controversy.
Made in the United States of America.
Yeah, okay.
Speaking of which, I bought some pretzels from our local IGA because IGA always has all the...
We were just speaking of that, yes.
Yeah. Talking about things made overseas. You know how IGA always has the good old pick and mix and all the bits and bobs? The Coles and Woolies haven't had that for years. And I just had a hankering for some honeycomb and some pretzels. Very specific. Okay. I love salt and sweetie together. So it's just yummy. Anyway, go in there, I buy my pretzels and I buy my honeycomb. And I assume this is like some Australian brand. My own idiot self for not looking at the packaging.
Right.
I get it home and then I'm eating the pretzels and I look at the back and it says product of Egypt.
Oh.
I'm eating Egyptian pretzels.
Ooh.
In IGA.
How exotic.
How exotic. I mean, they tasted like regular pretzels, but I thought to myself, I'm like, are we not capable of making pretzels here?
They weren't pointier than usual? No? Okay.
I see where you're going. That didn't land.
That didn't land at all, did
No,
it? I heard it come out of my mouth and went, no, that's
you
a
missed
miss.
The mark.
That's a miss, yeah. That's by a wide margin too.
Yeah. Anyway, your terrible jokes aside, I'm now really worried for our live event, and we're going to suffer through six painful minutes of your stand-up comedy.
It's going to be great.
But why am I eating pretzels from Egypt?
I don't know.
Are we
I'm not game to attempt another punchline.
Yeah, no. But anyway, it just makes my heart break for the Aussie farmers, and so Pingers should be mad, but he's mad at the wrong people.
Yeah.
I've always thought this. One more thing on the supermarkets. Growing up, everyone I knew had a bloody lemon tree.
Yep.
And when we've rented a lot, and most of the rental properties I've lived in.
If you grow up in a family of boys, those lemons are going to be super tart, super sour.
Ah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. I
Don't ask me why.
Yeah. Yep. I thought you were going to say you use them as cricket balls, sorry.
No. Just, really low. They'll pucker your face. Yeah.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know someone who didn't have a lemon tree. I mean, now it's not as common because we don't have backyards. But every time I go to the supermarket and I buy lemons, not like 2 and 3 times it will say product of the USA.
Yeah. Yeah, California's big on all their citrus farms and orchards.
Like,
yeah.
If we didn't have any, then sure, we couldn't grow lemons. Everyone had a lemon tree.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm even buying lemons is outrageous.
Yeah.
Let alone that they're imported from the US. I just think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, look, I can't comment on that specifically. I know that supermarkets, their number one imperative is to try and make money. And so from their point of view, it's going to make sense in some way. Even though it's got the shipping on top, it has to make sense for them in some way, shape or form.
Well, I would say there are so many different ways that we can support our farmers. One of them is like, I can't remember what they're called, farm pick or something like that. And basically it's all the odd vegetables that Coles and Woolies reject.
Yeah.
And they do these little boxes of random veggies that they've bought from Coles or from the farmers.
Yeah.
And they do like a little mix and match. So you don't necessarily know what you're getting.
Yeah.
I think Aussies, if you're smart and you're angry at the supermarkets, rather than sitting there being a purple pingers, go and support the primary producers themselves.
Or particularly with meat, I get meat boxes from Walkie Farm, which is up my way. And then I've got another farm.
Remember the good old meat trays that you'd win in a raffle?
Oh, they still exist out in the country. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I haven't had
come to the country.
I haven't had a meat tray in years.
No, it's great. Come to the country.
That was a very warnable thing because that's country.
No, but I've bought a couple of different meat boxes, and then also another friend of mine who has a farm. Whenever he's about to sell off a bunch of his lambs, he gives me the option. Just says, hey, do you want one? And yeah, of course I do.
I've always wanted to buy a quarter. I don't think we could go through a half, but a quarter of a cow. But we need a deep freeze. But I went to Australian butchers. I think there's a few of them in Melbourne. There's one not too far from us. And I'll tell you this really story. Then this tangent will end. We'll go on to another story. But I'm sure you guys can relate. So one night, G and I are usually pretty proactive. We go and go to the butcher to get our meat and so on and so forth. But for this week we hadn't. And I was hankering for a steak. Just wanted a steak. And G eats pork, and I'm not a big fan of pork. So he gets pork, I'll just get a steak, and everyone's happy. So anyway, we went to Woolies, sorry. He bought his pork fillet or whatever he got, or pork chops, and I got a grass-fed Scotch fillet. That's my favourite.
Yep.
Now, I paid $23 for that Scotch fillet. It was, Woolies brand, but,
It's probably
whatever.
sort of 300 grams or something like that, yeah.
And I bought the good one,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. Anyway, got home, G cooks it. It's cooked to perfection. And I put it in my mouth, and I'm like, oh no. And then I eat a second piece. I'm like, oh, that's disgusting. And she's like, oh my God, what have I done wrong? I'm like, no, it's not. It's cooked fine. I'm like, this tastes disgusting. And it gets stringy, and it's got like this weird, like almost like it had freezer burn.
Yeah. Okay.
And I gave it to G. I'm like, is this me? I'm like, am I making it up? This tastes terrible. He's like, oh my God, that's disgusting.
Yeah.
And I didn't eat it. I was like, that is it. We're done. So the next day, because I didn't eat my steak and I was very mad, we went to Australian Butcher, where you can buy, and I'm sure most butchers do the same thing. So this is just where we went. It was $92 for this giant big piece of Scotch.
Yeah.
And we got it cut up.
Yeah.
And it ended up costing us, I think, $7 for a big, thick, 350 gram steak.
So Scotch is one of my favourites, but I try to get the lump and then cut it myself.
Oh,
and
they do it for free.
I'll do solid 2-inch.
Yeah.
And that way you can really fry and get a really good crispy crust on it. Nice pepper, salt, pepper, and coffee rub.
Yep.
Get a really good crust on it, and then it's still beautiful and rare in the middle. Because I used to be a medium rare guy. I'm heading towards just being a straight up rare. Meat eater.
I can only eat rare if it's a good cut of meat.
It's got to be good quality.
Yeah,
It's like sushi or sashimi. If it was crap fish, you'd know about it straight away. Yeah.
One more tangent. I said I was done, but this is a good tangent. Go on.
No, I've sung the song already. You're not getting an encore performance. I don't get paid enough for this.
Anyway, whatever. We are going to Japan for my 40th birthday.
Ooh.
And I'm very excited. And I grew up in Kobe, which is the home of Kobe beef. And I have organised us a visit at a Wagyu restaurant.
Wow.
And it's stupid expensive.
Oh, yeah.
But, once in a lifetime, it's my 40th birthday. We're going to go do the thing. And I said to G, I'm like, you don't understand. Once you eat this.
Yeah. Everything else is ruined.
It's like flying first class. You can't go back to economy.
Wagyu beef marbling in Japan is like...
It's the best in the world.
It's a life and death kind of endeavour. Like, these guys are passionate.
It's artisan.
Yeah.
And so what you do, like I've done it before when I went last time I was in Japan, and they present you like a photo of the cow, which is a bit dark, and you get like the trophy, and they show you all the...
not Toby.
Yeah, I was like, I don't need to see the cow. Like, I know, but like I didn't need to know as I'm about to eat it. Anyway, and then where I went, it was like you had your own chef cooking it in front of you, and they don't cook a slab and just chuck it on your plate. They slice off bit by bit, and then they might incorporate a bit of sauce for that one bit that they give you, and then they've got a bit of mushroom with this one, and a bit of wasabi with that one, and so it's a performance as well.
Yeah.
And I still think about it every day. I'm like, oh God, that was some good steak.
Okay, so I'm gonna perpetuate your tangent here. The greatest dining experience to this day, it remains this for both me and for my wife. And, we like to go to nice restaurants for anniversaries and that sort of thing. We don't get to do it often, but we do. We do go to, we've been to Vue de Monde, we've been to Nobu, we've been to a bunch of these sorts of places. Hands down, the greatest dining experience of my life was at a little place called Chef and I on the outskirts of Nashville in Tennessee.
Okay.
And we were taken there by some local friends of ours, and they booked us a seat at the kitchen, which is like a bar.
Yep.
But instead of a bartender, it's the chef, and he's cooking for everybody. It was only a small place.
Almost like a teppanyaki place.
Almost.
Yeah.
And he just chats to us, and he clearly loves what he does, and he loves chatting, and we're having a great chat. And of course, we're from Australia, so that's interesting for him, and we're talking backwards and forwards. Anyway, a misunderstanding happens between him and his wife, because his wife was doing all the table service, about what was a mains and what was an entree. And he realizes that he's sent out an entree when all the mains aren't ready, when it was ordered to come at the time of the mains. And he's super, this is the biggest, oh no, I'm so sorry. Like, how could I have possibly done that to you? One of us is there eating and the rest of the night. He's like, how do I make this up to you? Can I make you, what do you like? What do you like? And the person, I don't know why, he was the person with the food. And I'm like, I don't know why he's getting extra food, but okay. And he's like, oh, well, look, I really like bacon. He's like, okay, do you like, it's like salty bacon? He's like, yeah, okay. I'm going to make you the most beautiful, his wording was questionable, beautiful bowl of salty goodness.
Okay.
That you've ever had. Anyway, he makes it, and then the guy shares it around between all of us. And he just impromptu'd up this thing. There's some walnuts in there. There was some other stuff. This was the single most delicious dish of any variety that I've ever had. In addition to that, like I saw what he was doing and I was so enamored. I was so impressed. I took a risk on the cauliflower steak.
No.
I'm not a vegan, right?
Yeah.
I went, I'm actually going to back this guy. Like, I think this is going to be amazing. And it was.
Yeah,
it was so good. And I had bits of my wife's meal and so forth. And we shared, I think, 2 bottles of wine between the group. And the bill came out at like $40 US per person.
Yeah, wow.
Like, it was just insanely cheap. And it remains to this day the most memorable food and dining experience I've ever had. This little suburban shop front, out of the way thing in suburban Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like that Kobe beef thing is probably the best thing I've ever eaten. But in Australia, Boudemont was pretty good. I had a really great time at Boudemont.
I thought it was overrated, and I'm traumatized by the toilets.
Oh yeah.
We talked about that.
But to be fair, like I did that for my 30th birthday, and I guess I didn't have much to sort of compare it to. That was my first proper degustation. Yeah. But anyway,
let's get back to actual
news
news because we're now 2.5 hours in.
This one.
Oh, yes.
I knew you'd be excited about this. So, Julie Inman Grant, our favourite E-Karen, has been or is being hauled before the US Judiciary. That's such a word.
Judiciary,
Committee over Online Safety Act because she has been accused of trying to impinge free speech in America.
Drink it in.
So I'm going to read this. The E-Safety Commissioner, Julie Inman Grant, is set to be hauled before the US Congress to give evidence on Australia's Online Safety Act and the implications of foreign censorship regimes. Can you imagine that happening 10 years ago? Australia would be accused of foreign censorship regimes.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind as you listen to this, Julie Inman Grant is also a US citizen.
Correct.
Right? So there are people like, oh, they can't do that. You know, she's an Australian, blah, blah, blah. No. She's an American citizen. And if she wants to keep her citizenship, she better play nice.
Yeah. In a letter written by Donald Trump ally and chairman of the US House Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, Miss Inman Grant was labelled a zealot for global takedowns and was called to give testimony before the committee within 2 weeks. As a primary enforcer of Australia's OSA and noted zealot for global takedowns, you are uniquely positioned to provide information about the law's free speech implications, both in the US and abroad. Your expansive interpretation and enforcement of Australia's OSA, including your claim of extraterrestrial jurisdiction to censor...
Extraterritorial
jurisdiction.
Sorry. She wasn't trying to censor Mars.
Yeah.
Okay?
Territorial jurisdiction to censor speech outside of Australia directly threatens Americans' free speech.
Yep.
The letter takes direct aim at the e-safety boss's push to block online access to a video of the 2024 stabbing attack of Sydney Bishop Mari Emanuel, which was contested by Elon Musk's ex because an effective global ban was deemed not to be a responsible step under Australian law and would be ignored or disparaged in other countries. It also drew links between Miss Inman Grant and the Stanford University Cyber Police Center, which recently became the subject of an investigation launched by the committee chaired by Mr. Jordan, suggesting they colluded to facilitate Australia and others' global censorship regimes.
Yep.
Wow, this is bad for her.
And this comes on the back of her being named in the House Select Committee, I think it was, as a co-conspirator with GARM, the advertising cartel, and her emails back and forth were a part of that. And they are gunning for her, and rightly so. And can I do a little gloat for a moment here?
Yes.
I've been calling this out since very early this year. When I went full-time with the TOFA project, I started talking about the fact that Julie Inman Grant is on a collision course for massive lawsuits with America, and that the US government are going to personally get involved.
So is she personally, or is this through Australia?
So this is through her office.
Yeah.
Right. So the office of the e-safety commissioner is what they're dragging up, but it's her. It is her. And so there's a couple of things here. Firstly, we know that the US, under Donald Trump specifically, this is one of the great changes that's happened because of him. The US will defend freedom of speech. They will defend online privacy, online security, and online freedom of speech at any time it affects American citizens. And they have to limit it to American citizens, otherwise they don't have jurisdiction, right? So that's not them being assholes. That's just they don't have jurisdiction if it doesn't affect American citizens. We saw signs of this, and I was calling it out early on. I think I've done probably 6 videos on this now, progressively over the last 9 or 10 months. But where it really became crystal clear was when the involvement of Donald Trump in the UK government trying to stop Apple from offering their encryption services became public.
Yeah.
Once that story broke, it's like, okay, no, we are on here. Like, it is on.
Yeah.
Now, they are gunning for Julie Inman Grant personally because of her history with X.
Yep.
Because she was personally responsible in driving the content, what do they call it? The safety team, which was essentially the censorship mechanism that then during COVID, let's not forget, Donald Trump was kicked off X. This is personal at multiple layers and levels. So they're gunning for her. But the point is this. She is so incompetent. If she had just kept her head and understood what her jurisdiction was and was not, she would never have given them the power to compel her to come and testify. Because she overreached, because she actually decided to be the police officer, the internet content officer of the planet, she has invited their involvement. And this is going to be brilliant. So here's how this is going to play out. She's going to testify and use her weasel words and do all the stuff that she's going to do, and then that process will continue to work its way forward. They can't fire her. The US government can't fire her. They can't really. There's not a lot that they can do. And any response is going to come back as a diplomatic response to the Australian government. It's not going to be directed at her. They don't have jurisdiction. They can't fire her. They can make her answer questions, and that's about all. On the 10th of December, which is now only, 2-3 weeks away, the under 16 social media ban will come into effect here in Australia. And I can already tell you exactly how this is going to play out. So number one, John Ruddock MP, New South Wales State MP, has, I believe today, has lodged, but I'll have to verify that later, a application to file a lawsuit into the High Court of Australia, challenging the under 16 social media ban on the grounds that it is a violation of young people's implied right to freedom of political communication. All a bit wonkish and technical, but there's already one lawsuit underway. The ban comes in on the 10th. Most of us will not notice that the ban has come in. I'm really annoyed at a bunch of right-wing commentators that tried to clickbait this. And turn this into a chicken little sky is falling kind of situation for clicks. That's not the case. Most people will not even notice that it's come in because they will be automatically given the tick of approval by the platform, because the platform has information like how long they've had the account, what they look at, how they write, all that. They can just run an algorithm over the top of that and say, no, this person's over 16. And they will say, under the regulations, we just have to take reasonable steps, and that is a reasonable step. So that's what's going to happen. The actual implementation of the ban on the 10th of December, for most people, will not even be noticeable. Now, there will be some people that will be affected, right? Like, I'm not saying that it's going to do nothing, but for most people, it will have no effect. Then the eSafety Karen, and I promise you this, she's going to turn around and say, you're not doing enough. You have not taken reasonable steps. At which point Meta and Google are already still very likely to sue, right? They said they would sue if YouTube were included. That is still very much on. I expected that will happen. But actually the eKaren is going to sue them. The eKaren is going to say, you're not doing enough, you haven't taken reasonable steps. They're going to say, excuse me, we have. What are you going to do about it? And then it's lawsuits. And that's when the US government gets involved. And they did it when the UK government tried to stop Apple from offering encryption in the UK. And ultimately it was the UK government that backed down. This is not going to end well for Julie Inman Grant, and it's not actually going to end well for the Australian government. It's going to be great. This is like buy popcorn shares, everybody. Like, just stock up.
But like I said before, isn't it wild to think that Australia is being considered like a global censorship regime?
So we got listed, that we were one of 3 countries listed. I think it might have been Turkey, Australia, and like one other nothing country were listed by name by, I'm not sure if it was JD Vance, might have been Marco Rubio, one of these very senior Trump administration officials, when calling out efforts by foreign countries to censor, right? We were listed alongside, we were one of 3 listed alongside 2 other countries that you do not want to be alongside when it comes to human rights records.
All right, we need to get to this story. I am convinced, for those who are listening to the podcast, this is about Jess Wilson has stabbed Brad Batten in the back and is now the new Liberal Party leader in Victoria. So for the first time, Brad Batten was in front. He was
51% to 49% two-party preferred. If an election had been held on the day that survey was done, Brad Batten would be our premier, your premier.
And the Liberal Party took it upon themselves to roll him, even though he had the favour of the public for their own selfish means. Now, I'm going to go off for a second. I think 2 things. One, they've installed someone that seems compatible with the accepted narrative in Victoria. She's a woman. She's somewhat woke because she was supportive of the voice.
Yep.
And someone like Brad, who was a police officer, had, toxic masculinity, and he was going hard on the crime.
Yep.
They wanted someone more reasonable. And I've seen key brokers like Jeff Kennett's come out praising her. And all I can think of is this just reeks of selfishness. The Liberal Party themselves are more concerned with their backroom optics than they are Victorians.
I want to go one layer deeper.
Okay.
I'm actually now convinced that this is about money.
Yeah?
So political parties, for those who don't know, and I cover this in my books, grift, buy my books, political parties are not run by their members, and they're not even run by the MPs that you see. They are the product. They're the public face. They're actually run by power brokers. Now, power brokers end up being very, very wealthy. And one of the reasons they end up being very, very wealthy is because they know which way the political winds are going to blow after the next election. If my party gets in, it's going to blow this way. If the other guys get in, it's going to blow that way. And they can shuffle around their investments and make their choices. Now, Victoria has for a long time been very, very woke and been going down the renewable energy pathway. I am convinced that there are significant, powerful power brokers in the back end of the Liberal Party who have their personal wealth invested in the kinds of things that the Labor Party do. The worst thing that could happen to them is for Brad Batten to come along and start to mess with that.
Just to clarify, what you're saying is these elite people, these elite wealthy people, the power brokers, their personal investments are more important
100%.
Than the entire needs of the state of Victoria.
So understand, the people that get involved in politics are some of the worst people you could possibly meet. But the ones you can see, the MPs, they're the good ones. They're the best of that bunch. So if you've got a low opinion of politicians, amplify that by 10, and that's the opinion you should hold of the backroom power brokers. These are the sleaziest, most underhanded, most selfish, backstabbing people. I've said to people that have wanted to go into politics, I've said, listen, if you think politics between the political parties is bad, wait till you see how bad the politics within the political party is. It is so much more savage. They are putting on a face in public to, they're being nice out there. What happens inside those backroom deals is absolutely bastardry. There's no other word for it. These are some of the most selfish, some of the most self-centered people. And would they sabotage the chances of their own party being elected in order to protect the easy gravy train cash money going out to all the renewable projects where they've got their money? 100% they would. 100% they would. And they would literally rather lose than to have a genuine conservative win. And that means, so at the moment what they've done is basically said, instead of offering you a choice between the Labor Party and the Liberal Party, we're going to offer you a choice between the Labor Party and the almost Labor Party. Right? And that's an acceptable offering. And if that means they lose, they would rather have that outcome than win with a Brad Batten.
So I see a couple of things happening here, and I talked about it before when we were talking about crime. If Labor gets in again, watch as Victorians obviously flee, that's a given, but watch as they start to take matters into their own hands. I think you will see that. I think Victoria will get to a point where it's a little bit like San Francisco, and Labor will be coming out in front and saying, oh, no, look at the things we're doing. They're going to be doing the Gavin Newsom. And everyone fleeing the state.
When's the next Victorian election?
November next year.
November next year, isn't it? Okay, yeah.
November 26th next year.
Yeah, okay. I knew it was late in the year. I just wasn't sure. I was like, hang on, surely
so,
that's not happening.
There's so many things wrong with this. Like, she's not going to win. At first, there's a couple of things that really bother me. She's a private school woman, right? And she's a young Liberal.
Strathcona.
She's a silver spoon
President
baby.
of the Young Liberals. Worked as a senior policy advisor for Josh Frydenberg, who is one of the problems, not one of the solutions at the federal Liberal level.
So she is everything Labor voters hate about the Liberal Party. She is exactly what they see them as.
But she's also everything that's wrong with the Liberal Party.
Yes. Oh, no, I agree with you. But so she's the more moderate, right? Because she was pro the voice. She's somewhat woke. And I dare say, on paper, she probably supports the treaty, probably thinks that men can be women. Who knows?
She said that the treaty is no good and she's going to oppose it. I want to hear a lot more from her about that. Because,
I want to say it's torn up.
Well, my instinct is that she just thinks it hasn't been done right.
Yeah, see, that's my instinct as well. It's not like I'm going to tear it up. Brad Batten said he was going to tear it up.
Yeah.
And so, again, putting my little, taking my 30,000 foot view, this is going to push people further right. So that by going more centrist, you are proving all the conspiracy theorists right.
Yep.
By saying that, oh no, we're just Labour light. Look at us, we're moderate.
But they're not going centrist. They're already past the centre.
Yeah,
and
no,
they're chasing the left.
They're
even
Labour
further.
light. So what you're going to see is this is going to, I mean, yay for Pauline Hanson's One Nation, but it's going to push people further and further to the right. This isn't fixing a problem.
And this is the thing. So the uptick in One Nation's support was actually the pretext that was used here, because Brad Batten or the Liberal Party, they were going backwards in the polls. Well, hang on. Number one, they were still ahead of Labor. Number two, their voters weren't going to Labor. Their voters were going to One Nation.
Yeah.
We see simultaneous uptick in One Nation. I've got a video. My video that went out today is exactly about this. So they've used that as a pretext, but that's all it was a pretext. Now, it so happens people are supporting One Nation largely because of things happening at a federal level. It's immigration, it's cost of living, it's national security and energy and net zero. That's why people are going across to One Nation. That's happening federally, but it's spilling over into the state level. At a federal level, One Nation have hit 18%. The Liberal Party, once you remove the Nationals out of the figures, they're only at about 20%. Like, it's literally line ball now between One Nation and the Liberal Party by themselves. At a state level in Victoria, the gap is much bigger. The One Nation, Victoria has not been a good state for One Nation historically.
Yeah.
They have had Ricky Lee Tyrrell was an MP elected in the north of Victoria. I don't believe they've had another MP elected at any level in Victoria ever. But their support is rising rapidly because of the movement that we're watching happen around Australia. So what they've done is they've said the real problem is that One Nation are rising on the right of them. Now, what they need to do is what Labor always did when the Greens started to get support. They would move closer to the Greens and eat and bring back some of that support, right? So that's, strategically speaking, if the Liberal Party cared about their survival, they would go, right, the threat is from over there.
Yeah.
We're pretty sure we've got the Labor Party handled.
Yeah.
They've been in power for so long, there's so many scandals, there's so many issues. We're pretty sure we've got that handled. The polls are in our favour. We just have to watch our right flank.
Yeah.
We're going to shift it a little bit closer to One Nation, steal back some of the people that are leaving us and stabilise the ship, and we'll be all good. That's the correct political strategy. They've gone the other way. And what you said is correct. A lot more people are now going to move across to One Nation. Now, the political calculation there is, because of preferencing, we're going to pick up their preferences anyway, so we'll still win, right? In their minds, it is unthinkable that One Nation could replace them.
Yeah.
Right? And in Victoria, I can understand that arrogance, because they look at it and there's still a very, very big gap there. They need to pay a lot more attention to what's happening federally. Because if One Nation replaces the Liberal Party federally and outpolls them in the next election, which you can laugh all you want, I know you're not laughing, but
it's on track.
They've picked up 3 percentage points in between 2 polls, right?
Yeah.
No one thought that reform was going to get to where they are now until all of a sudden it happened. This could be One Nation's moment. And if that happens federally and the Victorian Liberal Party are being led by Jess Wilson, it will happen in Victoria as well.
I think so too. I like I've said, it comes down to is it bad enough yet? And I do think for a lot of Victorians who are looking at Jacinta coming out and gaslighting them, and that Tim Richardson dude who comes out, sycophanting for Jacinta, we've seen this under Daniel Andrews.
Oh, yeah.
We've done this before. Yep. We're never going to convince the raging lefties, but I think the more moderate lefties are starting to go, yeah, okay, they've lost it. Yeah. They've lost it. Now, I don't think they'll vote One Nation. Yeah. Would they vote Liberal? I don't know. But how bad does it get for them to vote Liberal? Yeah. But I think people will vote with their feet and their wallets. And we're already seeing a mass exodus. It's been happening since COVID. And, we're trying to get out. And people's like, oh, why haven't you left yet? Well, it's really hard to
It is actually difficult.
Yeah, you got to sell down your business, your assets. Yeah. It's not that easy. Particularly, I have so many people in my DMs who say to me, we want to leave. We've got a 5-year plan because all their assets are here. Everything's tied up here. You can't just up and leave. We're not going to become refugees. Yeah. So it gets really tricky. But for businesses, what you'll see is they're not going to invest in Victoria. Nope. They're not going to want to spend their money here. They'll be saying to their staff, hey, we're going to give you 18 months. You either relocate here or see you later, you're done. Yep. And when that starts to really hit home, and I mean, we're already seeing it. So I want to play this. This is, I brought it up on Monday. What's his name? Spanian.
Oh, yeah.
I've talked about Spanian before. Spanian. There he is. He posted this, and this had got a really mixed reaction, and I thought this was worth us looking at. Is it... Which one is it? Which one? It's one of these.
Riveting viewing, everybody.
Sorry, I think it's this one.
Do you want to put it on?
You think I'm going to be... You think you're going to...
Screen?
Yeah. Hang on, I was just making sure it was the right one. Oh, hang on. Yeah. So, I will close it again and make it so that you can see it. This one.
Oh, fuck. You think I'm going to be... You think you're going to talk shit like I'm paying out homeless people? At what point I give a fuck what you think? At what point is it somebody's house or just a pile of fucking rubbish, cuz? This is the city, lad. This is the full city. Look at this shit, cuz. Look at this. Look at this, cuz. Look. There's fucking syringes, fucking bottles. But what the fuck is that, cuz? You know what I mean? This isn't paying out. This is not a homeless person's home just because he's a fucking sleep there. This is just a fucking pile of junky shit, cuz. Like, what the fuck is that? In the middle of the city. Cuz, look where we are. How the fuck is that allowed to stay there? How the fuck is a cunt just allowed to lay there with needles and people are walking around it? Why, is he a protected species? We can't talk about him. He's homeless. That's a shit go. Get the fuck out of here.
So, and I agree with him. And the comments are divided. Like, some people like, yeah, it's disgusting. Other people like, oh, it's so rude that you filmed him. What he just did, you are going to see so much more of that.
Yeah, and well, you've been speaking to this for a long time, bringing back shame.
Yeah.
Bring back the public shaming. And I support you in that. We have to, as a society, draw some lines. I'm pro-immigration, and people think that means that I don't actually believe in Australian culture or the Australian way of life, or that we have some unique way of being and way of living. No, that's not the case at all. I believe that people should be allowed to come here and join our way of living. But that also means that we need to not enforce. We need to advocate for that way of living with the people that are already here.
Yeah.
And actually say, hey, this is Australia. We don't do that here. I don't care where you were born. You were born here, good for you.
Yeah.
We still don't do that here.
Yeah.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
And there is still, there is the ability to be dignified even in poverty. Right?
Yeah.
Someone who is sitting there, right? Anyone can become homeless. We talked about this before.
Yeah.
Like, I had a very brief stint with being homeless, and I was fortunate. I had support around me that I was able to bounce out of that really quickly. I know other people that have become homeless, and some that I've supported, and others that have had support from elsewhere, and they've been able to bounce out of that pretty quickly. Anyone can become homeless, and we all need to be somewhat humble, right? Things can happen, right? I get that. But if you're still homeless 12 months later, you've made some choices. Choice. You've made some choices. Now, maybe you didn't choose to be homeless, but you've made some bad choices in your homelessness that have kept you there, right? And so when someone gets to that point, they've completely given up. They no longer have any dignity for themselves and any concern for how their actions affect others. Like, they've actually just checked out of every little bit of decency.
I agree, but I'm less concerned about the homeless person. That person's clearly a drug addict. And I understand I've never been a drug addict, but when you are, you're not thinking logically, right? Yeah. Like, he's surrounded by all the drug paraphernalia and bottles. What I care about, and I don't know if you picked it up, was the people who just sidestepped and walked around. Spanion's making a video and he's making a bit of a scene, right?
Yeah.
He turns it up for social media, but I say good on him.
Yeah.
I love Spanion for this.
Well, that's his version of what you did with that car.
Yeah. And, Spanion cops a lot. I think he got stabbed 2 weeks ago.
Did he?
Yeah, stabbed in the neck.
Ooh.
And he somehow survived. Everyone thought he was dead, whatever. So, he's putting himself out on the line. A lot of people don't like what he's doing. But he made that video, and in that video are the same apathetic Australians who go, oh, not my problem. I'll just walk around. I won't say anything. And people calling Spanion, out for shaming this homeless person. I'm more concerned about the people who sidestep and walk around it and accept it. Yeah. What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, coming back to what we talked about with the car, it's kind of like, well, you don't own a flatbed truck and so forth. Like, there is only so much you can do. And there's that homeless person there, and then on the next block there's another one, and then on the next block there's another one.
I would argue there are some things you could do, and I don't know the laws around this, but I don't know if we in Victoria have stopped the move on laws. I know for a while they weren't allowed to clean things up. I don't know what's going on, but if that were my shop front, that homeless person's asleep, I would go out of my way to go and clean that shit up, regardless what the fine was for the police, provided you were safe to do so. Like, obviously, you don't want to be stabbed by a syringe or something.
That's part of the problem, yeah.
That would be the first thing. But they do get up, and they have to go score, and they have to go get, their whatever.
Yeah.
When they're gone, clean it up. I know it's not your job. I get that. But clean it up. Make it an inconvenience for them to come back there.
Yeah.
And But the problem is people don't clean it up. It's not my job. Therefore, it stays there and you wait for the person whose job it is to come and do it. If you cleaned all that up, and, you know, obviously wear protective gear. Like, I understand it's syringes. I get all that. But make a concerted effort to pick it up, clean it up, even though you don't want to. He's going to come back and go, oh, where's my shit? He'll move on. Or he might come back and guess what? The next day, you clean it up again. You make it an inconvenience for this guy.
I agree with you, but there is also this kind of reality which, you know, sort of, ironically, the Batman series kind of portrays relatively well, where once the rot gets deep enough, it just becomes overwhelming. And people ultimately, and we see this in the writing of Alexander Solzhenitsyn when he talks about the psychological effect of living under communism and the degradation of morale that happens where people just go, ugh.
I get that. I don't think we're there yet.
I tend to agree, but it is the exception. It's the exceptional person who says, you know what, I'm going to go and do that.
Yeah.
Even though it's kind of you know, pissing in the wind. You're bailing out the ocean with a cup.
Yeah.
But I'm going to do it anyway because it's the right thing to do. We saw this during COVID. There were lots of people that agreed with this, but very few that were willing to go and try and bail out that ocean with a cup.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of thing, but you're asking people to actually have some courage of conviction, to actually pay a bit of a price, take a bit of a risk. And we know from COVID, most people aren't willing to do that.
Yeah, and it's the same story I say nearly every week on the podcast. People love to hide behind me.
Yeah.
Like, so I've been asked to go on a really big podcast.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm sitting there talking to G, and he has his reservations around it, rightfully so. He's like, you're putting a big spotlight on yourself. And he goes, your haters are going to make a big song and dance about that.
Yep.
And it's going to potentially cause you some issues. And I said, you know, at this point, what more can they say?
Yeah.
I'm a grifter, I'm a con woman, I'm a terrible person, I'm a Nazi, I'm a bigot, I'm a TERF. I've heard it all before.
Yeah.
And you can be in the comments and you can say all that stuff. It doesn't mean anything anymore. And what's interesting is I was Googling the host. I was doing my research on who these people are. And one of them's a reality TV star. So that's how she's climbed to fame. Yeah. And good on her. Like, I'm not saying that to be disparaging. But the reason I bring up the reality TV is she knows exactly what I'm dealing with. Yeah. She has copped it from the Australian public her whole career. Yeah. So if anyone can relate to what I'm in, she's like, girl, I have a Tattle Life thread. I have people saying shit about me all day, every day. You know, and like, so I went and looked at what they say about her and, oh God, it's nasty. Yeah. So I don't know this woman from a bar of soap. Yeah. So I don't know anything about her. I've never even listened to her podcast, right? But I was watching it and the things they say about her, I'm like, oh God, we're going to get along. Because they say terrible things about her. They say terrible things about me. And it just goes to show, like, there's nothing you can do. These people are going to say what they're going to say. Yeah. But before we move on, I wanted to talk about Jared Rennick's comment about the Liberal Party because I thought it was worth reading out. So I'll read it really quickly.
Sure.
Oh, sorry. I'll bring it up on screen so you guys can see it too. So can you see that? Yeah. The removal of Brad Batten as Victorian opposition leader is why you can never trust the Liberal Party. Make no mistake, this has nothing to do with the polls. Batten had done a good job of closing the gap on Labor and in some polls was both preferred premier and had the Liberals in front. This is a factional hit, plain and simple, by the left wing of the Liberal Party, who are controlled by corporate lobbyists. It is in response to last week's decision by the Federal Party to abolish net zero. Had Batten ever become premier, he would shut down renewable projects. There is no way the corporate rent seekers want this to happen. Yep. Their goal now, with that federal nationals force the Liberals to abolish net zero is to control the state governments and milk the taxpayers via state taxes.
Can I pause here? In order for he's exactly correct, but there's one more link in the chain that he hasn't explicitly joined. He's implicitly joined. The corporate rent seekers and the factional bosses and the Liberal Party are the same
people. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that was my point earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
This is what's been missing up until now. People are like, this doesn't make sense. This is what you would do if you wanted the Liberal Party to win. Yeah. Correct.
They don't want them to win.
They don't want them to win because actually their financial future is dependent on the corporate rent seeking continuing.
The new opposition leader is a 35-year-old. Is a career staffer lobbyist. Is the daughter of a former MP. Supported The Voice and voted against Moira Deeming. I didn't know that, and that makes me not like her anymore. Even more. Sorry.
More, yeah.
Batten, on the other hand, was a former policeman and a small businessman who consistently stood for common sense. He has real-life experience, sadly lacking among today's politicians. Yep. Australia desperately needs a genuine alternative to the Liberal Party, and that has the solutions for economic reform. If you want to be part of that, you know, you can join Family First. So
not Family First.
Oh, sorry.
People First.
People First.
Yep.
Sorry. Sorry. But yeah, good point. I thought it was worth reading out. And
I mean, I agree spot on. And essentially, I'm just making one more link there, which I think he makes. He just doesn't make it explicitly.
Yeah.
Which is the corporate rent seekers and the Liberal Party power brokers are the same person.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far into this because there's another story I really want to get to before we wrap up.
It's nearly 3 hours.
I know. So we're going to sort of go through this really quickly. So the CBA boss has called for a reduction in migration. Do you want to touch on this?
Look, I actually know less about his comments than I do about... so Susan Lee is obviously watching the rise of One Nation, and she's trying to ward that off by now coming out and saying, if we get elected, we're going to cut immigration by 100,000 per year. So what's happened now is... The rise of One Nation is now forcing everybody else to have to adjust and to have to kind of to ward them off, to do what I was talking about with the Victorian Liberal Party should have been trying to do. I don't know what's the CBA's take on it.
So the boss of Australia's biggest bank has called for significant migration cuts to help lower property prices and address Australia's housing shortage. Chief Executive Matt Comyn wants Australia's migration numbers to fall by more than 80,000 per year in a bid to boost housing affordability. In the year to March, net overseas migration added 315,900 people to Australia's population. And
hang on, year to March, net overseas migration.
In the year to March, we had 315,900 people.
I thought that was the arrivals. He's saying the net, so that's net of departures. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to look deeper into that. Yep.
And so he made the bold statement during a federal parliament committee hearing on Tuesday, said having a predictable level of migration would help housing supply and infrastructure keep up with the demand. Perhaps the number is something in the order of 180,000 per annum. It gives both the Commonwealth and the states the ability to plan for critical infrastructure, including housing. I think having a target is important. He's got a point, but that's only half the picture. It's almost like a replacement, and the far right will say this is like replacement voters. Yeah. And it's also holding up the GDP to make us look like we're growing when we're actually.
So there's two key motivations here. One is absolutely holding up the GDP. So we are in a per capita recession, but they're managing to keep the GDP looking good by just adding more people, even though we're poorer per person. And to be clear, we're not poorer per person because they added more people. People have this idea that, if we reduce immigration, we'll be richer per person. That's, again, fixed pie thinking. We'd still be in a per capita recession. But the other thing is they don't want the pressure on the housing market to ease. Understand, the Australian economy, because of the way that we're structured with our home loans. So in America, if you have a home loan and your house loses value, you can walk away from that house. And the loan doesn't follow you personally. You are not personally liable. So your house is now worth less than what the loan is worth. Walk away, leave the keys in the door, walk away. The bank will come and reclaim the house, and they can't chase you for any more money.
Yeah, okay.
Right? That's it. You walk away. That's it. In Australia, you're liable.
Yeah.
And if that house sells for $100,000 less than what you owed, well, the bank will chase you for the further $100,000.
Yeah.
Right. So going underwater. So if there was actually a correction in the Australian housing market, if it was bad enough. And it wouldn't have to be super bad, but if it was bad enough, it would literally take our banks down.
Mm-hmm.
Because the moment our banks start foreclosing and selling, and then the supply of that starts to come onto the market, if people are hurting badly enough and no one can buy it for a decent amount of money, everyone's just declaring bankruptcy all over the place. Housing values spiral even further. Politicians are terrified of not artificially propping up the housing market. Our houses should be worth half what they are. The reason they're worth what they are is because of artificial restrictions on supply and the building code that has forced us to spend a stupendous amounts of money just to build a simple home. The combination of those two things is how we got to where we are. But if anyone thinks that we can correct and bring them down...
They don't want to. There's no incentive to bring it down.
Well, there's no incentive to bring it down, but also that would be a economic Armageddon in Australia. People have no comprehension of just how tottering, how vulnerable our house of cards is, built on housing debt the way that it's structured in Australia. It is a terrifying prospect to politicians, and they do not want to be responsible for it. They don't want to be the ones carrying the can as the Prime Minister or the Treasurer when that happens. So no, you are not going to see any serious efforts to improve housing affordability. This is why all they ever do is prop up demand.
Yeah. It's inevitable at some point. It does have to
Correct. But all they're doing is kicking the can down the road, making sure that it happens after they're gone.
Yeah, they don't want to be their government.
And the thing is, that can continue for quite some time. It can get a lot worse before that collapse finally happens. But the longer we go, the worse that collapse inevitably is.
Oh, so it's all good news then.
What fun, I tell you.
All right, we've got 2 more that we have to get to.
Let's get through quickly.
All right. Parents told to ask babies' consent for changing their nappy. I can't.
Let parents be parents, for crying out loud. This is such nonsense. Yes.
Researchers from Australia's Deakin University. Of course, it's Australian researchers.
How many kids do they have?
Probably none.
So here's the thing. Little babies, they're a potato. Okay, they're like they're a burrito. You wrap them up in a blanket, you put them on the couch, you come back, they're exactly where you left them. Obviously, at that point, the consent is not possible because there's no comprehension. As they get older, yes, you want to work cooperatively with your kid, right? Of course you do. But if your kid is being stroppy and doesn't want their nappy changed, but their nappy needs to be changed, at no point should the kid be able to override the necessity for their nappy to be changed. Yes, every parent wants to be able to work cooperatively with their kids. You want your kid to move the leg here and do the right things to make it easy for you. Of course you do. But if your kid's not, the solution is not to say, oh, well, you haven't given me consent, so I better not do it, because I'd be teaching you the wrong thing about consent.
Can I read you this? Because this is so ridiculous.
Am I going to lose brain cells?
Yes. It's insulting.
I don't have many to lose.
So they wrote this for The Conversation, which is a far left
that says a lot
thing. So experts have divided with the claim that parents should wait for consent before changing their child's dirty nappies. Researchers from Australia's Deakin University said that there is a lot of talk surrounding when to teach teenagers about consent issues such as appropriate. However, it should start much sooner, before they can even speak. The researchers claimed that as the nappy changing could be the perfect time to do this, when your child doesn't understand language. At the start of a nappy change, ensure your child knows what's happening, researchers say. Get down to their level and say, you need a nappy change, and then pause so they can take this in. This sounds like someone who doesn't have a child. But because the child's usually crying or carrying on or whatever. Anyway, I don't even have a kid and I know this. But their offbeat directives for cleaning a bub's bottom, a task that parents often rush just to get done, the researchers said don't end there. Then you can say, do you want to walk or crawl with me to the changing table, or would you like me to carry you? Said the specialist, seemingly ignoring that newborns can't actually chat up mum or dad one-to-one. Observe their facial expressions and body language to check if they understand what's happening. The experts further noted this can be a time to help children learn about consent and how their bodies work.
I'm just going to call Elon Musk. I'd like to volunteer a couple of researchers to be on his very first mission to Mars.
What an absolute privileged position you must be in to sit there and be able to debate something so fundamentally fucking dumb.
They are already on Mars. Like, their brains have already left this planet.
These people are utterly... This is the insane... These are the insane patients running the asylum. That's what this is.
Yeah. Look, any parent listening to that is sitting there going, I don't think you have even nieces or nephews, let alone kids of your own. If you're a researcher and if that's your idea in your head, what that sounds like is when you hear an idealistic soon-to-be mum or soon-to-be dad who has nothing but fantasy ideas about how great they're going to be as a parent, how amazing their family life is going to be. And then, of course, they get slapped by reality and the shit hits the fan literally sometimes. And they realize why their parents were the way they were, and all the things all the narratives they told themselves about how evil their parents were and how wonderful they were going to be fall apart.
Yeah.
That's the kind of language that is used by people that are completely disconnected from reality.
100%. It's like the ones who say that the child hasn't chosen their gender yet. They're mentally insane. That's what this is.
Yeah.
And I'm so sick of tiptoeing around this. Like, these people are fundamentally insane.
Yep. Listen, go have kids. Get back to me when you're in your 60s and then tell me about consent for kids and nappy changes, all right?
I would argue that all of this, like, helicopter parenting and all this, like, ridiculous nonsense around, consent, sure, I understand it from a teenager's perspective, but all this performative stuff when the child can't even formulate words yet and has no idea what you're doing.
And this fantasy idea that you have time.
Yeah.
That you have the ability to create these kinds of...
Because you're a parent and you've had this experience. I have not.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being a victim of one. Mm-hmm. A good old poo explosion.
Oh, yeah, punami.
A punami.
Yeah.
I remember being a child and having a punami of my own.
Yeah.
And my brother had put my Easter eggs in my cot.
Oh.
So it was a punami and chocolate nami. And this was in Japan where we had white carpets.
Oh, yeah.
And I had managed to get out of my cot,
yes.
crawl down 2 sets of stairs to sit on the couch where I fell asleep. Can you imagine the mess?
Your parents loved you that day.
My parents have never, ever let me forget that story. That story was brought up way too many times. So imagine that. You're in the middle of a punami crisis. There's shit everywhere. And thank God I've never experienced this, but I've heard enough about it to know.
We've never had one that bad, but that's
Excuse me, Bubby.
Yeah.
Mummy and Daddy need to change your nappy.
Are you aware that you have a poopy nappy? Clearly, I'm not. I just crawled down 2 flights of stairs, leaving a trail behind me.
And I'm quite happy to sit in my shit because apparently I don't know any better.
But let's go further. So these fantastical ideas about how you're going to have conversations with your kids and no contact parenting and all this kind of stuff. You're living in fantasy land. You're on a road trip. You're driving. Your kid has just gotten enough hand strength to figure out that they can now unclip their own seatbelt. All right? And now they won't stop undoing their seatbelt. What you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to explain it. Okay, no, we have to get the seatbelt on. It's important, blah, blah, blah. And then they're going to keep doing it. And then you're going to start rousing on them, and you're going to start saying, this is a problem. You're going to start pulling over. You're going to start telling them there's no TV in the morning. You won't, you'll go to bed early. You can make all the threats you want. They keep clicking that thing open. Mm-hmm. There comes a point where there needs to be immediate consequences. There needs to be something for them to be afraid of right now because they're not afraid of the car crash.
Yeah.
They're not afraid of all the other stuff.
They have no concept of the car crash.
They have no concept of it. So you have to give them something that they have a concept of. Yeah. And that means Mummy or Daddy's going to give me a smack.
Yeah.
Right? There comes a point where you go, we cannot function as a family and we cannot keep you safe. Our responsibility is to keep you safe.
Yeah.
We cannot keep you safe if you don't actually follow our instructions. And if you're going to choose to be belligerent and not follow our instructions, then we're going to escalate through a series of things until we get to the point where the consequences are such that you change your mind.
Yep.
And that's that.
I agree. And I would argue that this new approach, this soft approach to parenting is why we now have 13-year-olds stabbing other children to death.
And why we have other 13-year-olds killing themselves.
Yeah. The whole thing is just preposterous.
So much of youth mental health now is actually a lack of discipline.
100%. Yeah. And it's also look, I think a lot of this is personality-based too. Some people have a little bit more mental fortitude than others. But if you don't have boundaries to push and rebel against, then you don't know what they are. So, I'm not saying you have to be uber strict, but giving a child boundaries makes them, firstly, learn respect for them.
Yep.
And secondly, helps them to be able to learn either to resist in a way or to be able to bend the rule, whatever it is. That's what you do in your teenage years. You learn how to play with fire.
And navigating and understanding facial expressions, tones of voice, the risk versus reward, all of that's part of it as well.
And what that does is grow you into a functional adult, so that when you're in the real world,
socialized adult.
Correct. That's what that's where I was going with it.
Yeah.
You understand that, your family dynamic might be totally different to the real world, and you get hit with a reality check, which is why so many Gen Zs are starting to freak out about their employer and things like that, because
they
their
go
employers
to work and they're actually held to a standard.
Yeah.
You can't hold me accountable. Yes, I can. I'm your boss.
But further to that, I get all that to a degree, and then on the flip side, why do you think your self-esteem's in the toilet?
Yeah.
You don't even respect yourself.
Yeah, you got nothing to be proud of.
Yeah, the reason you end up like a purple pingers or something like that is because you have no boundaries. You have no discipline.
Well, isn't he a trust fund baby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, last story.
Last story before my bladder goes bang.
Yes, I'm there with you. There we go. So you don't know anything about this.
I know nothing about this.
So these are the Gen Z protests in Mexico City that has brought thousands out against crime and corruption. So the current prime minister, or is she the president of Mexico, is not liked, and she is allegedly part of the cartel. She's part of it, all right?
It's Mexico. It's possible.
It's Mexico, yeah. So in short, thousands of people took to the streets of Mexico City on Saturday to protest against crime and corruption. The protests were organised by Gen Z, but supporters from all age groups attended. The demonstration was mainly peaceful, ended with 20 arrests. Now, I've got this footage for you. So this is...
Oh.
Let me make it bigger. And sorry.
That brings back memories.
Doesn't it? So yeah, they were graffitied on the parliament there. They wrote something about, I'm trying to find it. Is it Claudia Scheibaum? They wrote something like really slanderous about her.
All right, so a couple of bits of perspective though. What's the population of Mexico? It's a huge, huge population. Yeah, you'll be faster there.
130 million people.
Yeah. So for perspective, you get 10,000 or so. That was a decent crowd. Like that was multiple thousands, possibly 10,000 people that we could see. Hard to see because the resolution wasn't great, but that's a crowd. Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, they had massive protests in Buenos Aires. Sorry, in Brazil, capital of Brazil. Anyway, they had massive protests against Bolsonaro for a while there, and then they were eventually successful. But they had to get vast. They were huge, and that, of course, that was a coup anyway. But okay, interesting. I'm just going to put a pin in that one. I don't know enough about it. I can't comment on it.
There is a global shift happening with the peasants, and I refer to us as the peasants, the little people. There is definitely something happening.
Speak for yourself, peasant.
Well, apparently that's what we are compared to these people. Yeah. The last one we didn't touch is, do you have anything on this? I mean,
not really, except like who couldn't see this coming? Australia has shipped how many tens or hundreds of millions of dollars worth of cash, ammunition, and weapons systems over to this country. I said from the beginning, don't look for a good guy in this war. So we're talking about Ukraine versus Russia and the revelation of considerable amounts of missing money and all kinds of stuff from the Ukrainian aid. I mean, we knew that already. There's been issues where just
they can't find it.
Yeah, vast amounts of American money have just gone completely missing.
Billions of dollars.
Weapon systems that were sent over have then been sold off for someone's profit and never actually made it to the front line. They're now sitting in some other countries.
Probably in Iran or bloody Qatar.
This is the problem. I said from the very beginning, this is a war between one of the most corrupt countries in the world, known to be operating in money laundering, terrorism, human trafficking, and the sex trade. This is a war between that country and Russia.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the same.
Yeah.
One of the most corrupt countries in the world, known to engage in terrorism, sex trafficking, human trafficking, weapons trafficking, all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So this was a war in which we had no business being.
Yep.
And I would say our money had no business being. Now, let me be clear. I'm pleased that the Ukrainians stopped the initial invasion. That was such an impressive thing to resist.
Yep.
The Russians really showed phenomenal levels of incompetence. I did whole videos on this at the time. They ran out of fuel in their columns advancing on Kiev. They did not factor in the Rasputitsia, the mud season, which is what brought Napoleon to a halt. It's what actually brought the Germans to a halt during World War II. Even their half-tracked vehicles and stuff couldn't cope with the mud season. They didn't factor that in. Like, how could they not? They know the mud season. They live there. Anyway, the whole thing was a mess. But I was really pleased that the Ukrainians withstood the invasion. And what should have happened at that point was they should have basically negotiated down to some kind of an end in hostilities. I've been saying for probably 2.5, maybe 3 solid years now, we are just keeping this meat grinder going for the profit of weapons companies.
Yeah.
That's all that's happening now. We've turned this into a meat grinder. The amount of land changing hands is minuscule and just goes backwards and forwards. We are just throwing warm bodies of young men into a meat grinder where they come out dead or wounded or psychologically scarred for life. I cannot begin to imagine the psychological scars that infantry soldiers will be coming home with from a front line where drone warfare was a thing.
Yep.
Like just that sound, right? Imagine, every time someone uses a whippersnipper or a leaf blower or, heaven forbid, you hear a drone. Like, we hear about the effect of the sound of helicopters on Vietnam veterans.
Yeah.
For these guys, that you're going to walk past an open doorway and someone's computer fan's going to be whirring away inside a little bit louder than normal. I mean, just the psychological trauma that these guys are going to have. We contributed to that.
Yep.
We helped to keep that going. Australian taxpayers helped to keep that meat grinder going. And it turns out that at least some of the money that we sent over wasn't even used for that purpose anyway, which is probably the saving grace. Like, oh, good. Not all of the money was spent on throwing more meat into the grinder. That's excellent.
What frustrates me is that all of the people who are I stand with Ukraine and we need to support that, who basically cheered the war and, you know, got behind the social justice movements, much like they did with all the others. Now that this story is coming out that, it's corruption. And, you know, when Zelensky was begging to Trump and carried on like he did, and the press were like, oh, Trump treated him terribly. And now it's all about corruption. And I mean, we had that with Burisma and Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. Now it's coming out. Will any of them admit that they were wrong?
I doubt it.
Of course not, because we're just going to make this mistake in a months or years' time, whether it's fighting Hamas or whether it's fighting Iran or whether it's fighting another war in the Middle East. It's going to be the same old shit. No one ever learns. Everyone just has this bleeding heart. Save this person. No one wants to learn. It's so frustrating.
So there's a verse in Proverbs that says, as one who takes a dog by the ears, so is he who meddles in a business not his own, or meddles in a quarrel not his own. If you grab a dog, just pick a random big dog and just be like, goom, now you can't let go. Yeah. Right? Because that dog's pissed. And if you try and get yourself out of that situation, it's going to bite you in the balls. Yeah. Right? That's what we did. When we got involved in Russia, Ukraine, we took a dog by the ears and now we can't let go. And it turns out the dog's got rabies. Yep. What do you do? I mean, all we can hope to do is that someone actually learns a lesson from this and we never do it again. But I think that's pretty far-fetched.
I mean, as long as I've been around, we've had the WMDs it's just the same old shit. You just got to move that money somehow.
Same old, yep.
Anyway, on that positive note.
Oh, what a happy end.
Wasn't
what
it?
What a delightful happy end
I should have kept the palate cleanse to the end.
Look, we probably I don't know, just have like minties or something for the end just to freshen everything up.
Well, now that we've depressed you all and everyone's feeling good about themselves.
Buy our merch. Let us grip.
I was going to say, it's housekeeping time. So for those who'd missed Monday's show, we now have an Oddcast Discord.
We do.
And if you are an OG Oddie, that opens up a whole bunch of channels. So G has painstakingly set up different channels. There's a book club in there. There's Geek Speak. There's G-Man's Car Chat. And you think... These guys, it's like they don't work. That's all they're doing. They're in there in the Discord.
I could believe that.
Yeah, and chit-chatting away.
G tells you he's working.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen it?
Oh, evidently. I can now see what you all get up to during the day. And let's just say, be grateful I'm not your employer. So we've got members chat, tangent time, all the memes, G-Man's Car Chat, music to my ears, Geek Speak. We've got suggestions on how to grow the show, suggestions about 2 oddies make an even. I love that.
Ooh,
that's dating.
Look
out. Yeah.
Wow.
Like our community has
Love
grown.
is in the air.
Quick.
My goodness.
I see them in the chat. I'm like, I'm hooking you 2 up. I'm going to make it happen. And then if you are a non-paying member, you're still welcome to join the general, but just haters and trolls beware. We know who you are and you get swatted very quickly. I know you think you're clever doctoring screenshots, but
all right, so how do people find that?
So it will be linked in the description of this video.
Description, excellent.
Yes, so that's
also go to goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com where you will be able to get this one here. You'll be able to get my books, but actually that's just the website, goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. That's where you will find the Oddcast merch as modelled by Carl's. On the back, a bunch of really cool designs. So grab those while you can because...
On the back is this.
As of the
Tangent time.
As of the end of November, that will not be available temporarily, nor will 5 of my designs. 5 of my designs are going, and yes, they will be replaced by new ones, but you won't be able to buy them both at the same time. So if you want the old ones, you need to jump in now and get those, and then we'll release the new ones. And Carl's, that'll be all over to you, and you'll get a personally signed thank you card from Topher Field with my signature on the back.
Oh, goody.
If you buy the new merch.
Also, I feel like we grift too much, but apparently not enough because people are still like, what's Ko-fi? It's coffee or Ko-fi, whatever. It's this QR code.
That over there.
We point to it every episode, but I'm trying not to bore you guys to death. Coffee is where you guys can sign up to be an OG Oddie, and because there's so much confusion around it, there's still some spots because it's just madness.
Every time we shut it down, people whinge.
Right, so.
And they're like, I was going to do that.
If you want, the reason it's called OG Oddies is we want to value the people who have been here since the beginning.
I've said that all the way along that the cutoff for OG should be the first birthday. That's what I've said all along, and I think that's kind of organically.
Fine.
That's kind of what's happening.
Then that's what's happening. We'll leave it to the first birthday.
If you get in the first year, you get to be an OG.
Yeah, and then after that, I'm sorry, we want to value the people who are here first. That's the whole point.
But first year, we're going to be doing this in 100 years, so the first year is still The first year is have some faith. Have a
I don't
little
want to be
faith.
stuck with you for 100 years. Jeez.
My AI avatar. By then I'll be a brain in a jar.
Yeah, we can actually.
A brain in a very small jar, admittedly.
That'd be really fun, actually. If I could just do that, they could do that, and then I'll be off my jet somewhere.
That's right. Do the Futurama thing. With
Yeah.
Just a couple of heads. No, so I think first year is still OG.
Okay.
That's been my position.
But what do
all
we
along.
do about our OGs?
Listen, we do need to do something because we did say we were gonna.
Well, we're going to do a mug. We've already got them.
So they get the mugs. We
Yeah.
said that cut off. So
the
let's
bingo
let's
card.
stick to that. That's the OG. Yeah.
Because, there's a reason for
All right.
this.
Goodpeoplebreakbadlaws.com. Get stuff.
And if you want to learn from my AI
yes,
masterclass,
yes.
It's at carlsjsoda.com. I'll put the link in the bio as
Yep.
I always do. But this is me grifting. I should have had this
Yeah,
up. Hang on.
Show us.
So this is how you can learn more about AI, what it can do for you.
Hang on. I'm going to do the AI voice. Buy back your time with AI.
Are you curious about AI? Learn how to harness AI to think faster.
Mine was better.
Great, smarter, and reclaim your most valuable asset, time. Anyway, that's going to annoy everyone. So basically, it's a 90-minute live masterclass. I'll be talking to you guys about AI, what you can do with it.
Be honest. It's going to be an hour and 180 minute.
Yeah, look, I did say 90 minutes, but it's me, and I don't know how to sum things up quickly. But it will be a class up until a Q&A point, and then you can stay on with me. We can chat about it. It's $99. Join us. It's on December 4th. And if you can't be there for the live, don't worry. You get access to the replay. You can play it as many times as you want. You get a downloadable book with it as well. So this is not for Luddites. If you are opposed to technology, don't bother. We didn't do a word. I know. Outrageous. I was going to bring that up.
We have failed.
Yeah. I had show notes. I had a bloody run sheet.
You're just a useless lumpen proletariat.
And it was on there. How am I going to learn new words that I forget immediately after we've used them? How can I win if we haven't?
Apologies to everyone. Actually, you've won more than me, honestly, because I'm like, I got to give it time. Like, wait till we're halfway through, and then you're like, no.
I'm competitive. I'm really competitive. So you just got to be quicker. I can't help it that you're an old man.
All right, we need to wind up because my bladder it's done.
And we always talk about our bladders on this show. It's irrelevant.
Yes, it needs to be on the bingo card on the mug. Yeah, bladder.
Right. That being said, I think we've covered all the things.
Excellent.
And hopefully us speed running into the topics. I feel like we didn't stop.
If you're not happy now, okay, seriously, you're a lefty, right? That's the only possible explanation. You're impossible to make happy. Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
Bye.